What's going on, guys? What's up, Dennis? How you
It's the
feeling,
one.
man? You ready?
Hey, James. Ready
Ready,
as you
man.
are.
That's right. U.S. champs, U.S. chess champs 2021, guys, men's and women's. It's going to be great. Let's take a look at the format really quickly. So, of course, tell us a little bit about the format, Dennis.
So we've got the 12-player round robin happening, and we're back to classical chess. James, did you think that will ever happen?
You know what? I didn't, but I actually did a little bit in the heart, right? In the back of my heart and my mind. I knew we was going to have a little bit of classical. So I'm hyped for it, man. There's some big dogs going at it,
Yeah.
so I'm
So,
excited for it.
so it's time control 9 minutes for 30-second increment
Sweet.
with 30 minutes added after move 40. So it's going to be a long time control. So it's not even your regular US Swiss event
Uh-huh.
where you've got like an hour. So
Yeah.
it's even longer.
Even longer. 90 minutes, 30-second increment, adding time, and then an extra 30 after move 40. And yeah, actually, I see someone in the chat says no draw offers. So there's going to be no draw offers. That's right. Or agreements permitted. Crazy. Well, here's the schedule. What we got coming up. Today is actually the 9th. So we have more coming up on Monday, 11th, and the 12th, all the way through every day except the 15th, which is a rest day, going through the 19th, which is round 12. Now, that's the schedule. Here's the featured men. Who do we got up there, Dennis? What you see there, bro?
So we've got a big matchup between Vesliso and Fabiano Caruana. Seems very spicy, but
That's
there
going to be
will
nice.
be a prodigy match too between Jeffrey Zhang and Ray Robson.
Jeffrey Zhang and Ray. That's going to be nice. In fact, all of them are going to be bloodbaths in a way. I'm excited to see it. And very strong chess. In fact, I know the only one that's a very, like, just easy. I think the easy part was yesterday with Lanier, Dominguez, and Linderman. And when I say easy, maybe that was 2 days ago. But what I mean by easy is like it was just a very solid in-game type players, very slow play. And that was just a peaceful draw, right? But it might not be a lot more of that as we see as this goes on. Let's move on to the women, featured women. What we got here? We got Carissa Yip and Irina Krush today. How do you feel about that,
Yeah,
Dennis?
that's gonna be the big featured matchup. It could be for the title. It could be for the title. If any of those ladies or girls win that match, it could be game over.
It could be game over. That's actually really cool to see. They're very high rated, 2400s. They're actually, I think Irina's highest. She might be highest, and Carissa's top
Yeah,
3 or 4. So both of
yes.
them, it's going to be a high level matchup there. We're going to be ready for that one, guys. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be very exciting. You got me, you got Dennis, and you got all this chess, this big boy and big girl chess. So we'll be right back after this short break, guys, and then we'll get right into the game. So don't go anywhere. And we're back. We are back, guys. Y'all ready for these games? Let's get right into it, Dennis. I'm excited. Let's actually move on to the men's, actually. See what we have over here with the men's. So, yeah, we got Fabi and Wesley. I mean, what do you think is going to happen here? What's the matchup? What's the openings like, Dennis? Give us the rundown, big fella.
Yeah, so these are the big guys from the US field, Fabiano and Wesley, and I would expect something more along the lines of a solid Catalan. And
Okay.
also surprised from Wesley because he just been working on his 1e4 and has been doing lectures left and right. So
Yeah.
it might have come as some sort of a surprise that he went for d4 c4
Right.
for
Yeah, that
Fabiano.
actually, I'm not used to seeing him play that. Actually, you're right. D4, C4. Wow. D4, C4, and now he's in the think tank like he never seen this before. Right. It's like, oh, Wesley's like, where do I go? What do I do? There's only a few moves you can make here, right? Knight
Yeah, it's just
C3,
so
Knight
many
F3, G3.
things. Yeah. You can go straight up the Rubinstein route with knight c3, bishop b4, and e3. That could be one way that Wesley plays, or he could go the solid Catalan way. Just kind of deciding whether he's going all in or he's just going for a nagging pull.
Yeah. And the standings are who's first? Fabi's up there with two. Ray's right behind him.
Yep.
Wesley has two as well. So this is a big matchup here.
And also
Definitely a big one.
Sevian lurking out there.
Speaking of Sevian, who's he playing? Swartz.
Yep,
Darius
he's playing
Swartz.
switch, and it is a classical opening. So we started off with the English, which transposes back to the Queen's Gambit accepted. Well, it's not accepted, it's more of like the Orthodox system.
Yeah.
And knowing recent trends, they either push the A pawn or the H pawn. One of them is weirder than the other. Which one would you push,
The A
James?
pawn or the H pawn, you said?
Yep.
Wow.
Either they play A6 or H6. Well, both of them is somewhat unorthodox, but hey, it's recent fashion. And fashion
Interesting.
has their weird
Interesting.
ways.
Yeah, I would probably play knight f6 here to transpose. Or actually, I mean, it's weird because my knight's not out. It's not a Nimzo yet, but it's kind of a Nimzo. I would probably go into something I'm comfortable with. Knight f6, bishop b4, and just play very solidly and aggressively. And I found that that just is, especially at the higher level too, that always gives, not always, but many times, more often than not, black just gives very simple, easy positions where it isn't a lot of risk to take. And you also feel pretty good about the positions that you get with the knight of six, bishop b4, if allowed. But if knight of six, is there an a3 option there?
Yeah, if knight f6, usually they take on d5. And if you capture back with the pawn, we get into the most orthodox of the systems,
Hmm,
bishop g5, and then you actually pin that knight.
it's kind of
And
annoying.
yeah, bishop e7, e3, c6,
Yeah,
bishop d3,
c6, yeah.
and we get these casual
Castles,
Carlsbad
rook e8.
structures.
Yeah, casual cars, but Carlsbad, correct. Minority attack, all kind of stuff. The huge. Okay. Let's
The
see what he
usual,
plays.
and not a lot of fun for black, honestly. You're
Yeah, I know.
not
I
going to
faced
win the
that.
game.
Right? Yeah.
Not really gonna
You're
win
not
that.
gonna win the game.
But
You heard
you
it
may
here
survive.
first. You may survive, right? Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to some other games here. Shanklin and Dominguez. They are already far into this game. What happened?
Yeah.
This was a London,
Big surprise. Shanklin playing the London. Wow.
right?
That is a huge surprise, but it seems that it got Dominguez somewhat off guard because this Queen A4, Queen A3 is fairly famous. I've seen this from Kamsky himself, who is obviously the OG of the London.
Yeah, that's correct. He said, I remember going to his stream one time. He was saying he likes the London because of most likely the end games, is what he was saying. I was like, wow, I've never heard that. That like someone said they like the London because of the end games part, which was kind of like, wow, that's pretty fire there. And he also was giving a quick lecture. If you ever go to his streams, he talks about just the London system a lot. He plays it, he praises it, he really loves the London London system. So for London system
Yeah,
players, you go over there because I'm not a fan.
yeah, yeah. And actually, that's the whole point of the situation. White is trying to go capture, capture, Like if c takes d4, c takes d4, and just play against the c6 pawn.
Ah, yes. He takes d4. Yeah, this is nice. Well, it's black to move here now. So, oh, wait, did he move? No, he did not. That was somewhere else. There's another move. So, c takes d4. Yeah, that's going to be huge. And then c6 is weak. What do you even do here as black? Bishop
Um,
d7? I mean, that's kind of
yeah,
annoying.
if you go bishop d7, there's queen a3, and that's the whole concept. I'm going to pin your queen on d6 and eventually win the c5 pawn.
So, knight
So I
d7?
actually feel that Dominguez got out prepared
Yeah,
already.
this isn't that good. Rook d8? Not feeling good. I mean, you can just tell he does not like this position here. But he has a lot of time to think about it. You know, we're not going
Yeah.
anywhere anytime soon. Check out Ray Robeson and Jeffrey. Look at this bishop on d6. What is
Bishop
this?
d6. So
Why is
that
this
is a
bishop here?
unique way of playing, and
This was a Rossalimo too.
yeah,
Wow. Big fan.
bishop b5, e5, castles.
e5.
Yeah,
Wow. And then
castles,
bishop
bishop d6.
d6. I am hype about this. This is new. I've never seen this before. I'm a knight c6 player myself with the Sicilian. Never in my life have I seen this. I only followed the Magnus way of playing the Rossalimo, and this is new. What do you think what's the plan here? What you thinking, Dennis?
Well,
I
it
have no
is
idea.
a very strange looking move, but if
Kopek
you've
system.
seen all these Berlin middle games, if white would take on c6, pawn takes with the d pawn, obviously, and then you are voila back into Berlin.
Ah,
So
okay.
that is kind of the idea that black wants to evacuate the bishop first. If you're not taking, go bishop c7 and go knight e7 and develop the bishop away from the king and fortify the e5 pawn.
Yeah, this is
Now,
different.
yeah, now you wouldn't be really shocked if I tell you who played bishop d6 first. It is our
Who,
favorite Mavericks of chess.
who is it?
Well, it is Jobava / Rapport.
Wow.
So all the most original people played bishop d6. As for what I remember, it was played by Jobava first. So he played this system, which does look very strange because you don't ever want to mummify your bishop like that on c8. But he says, I've got the time, and what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Especially to see Joe Bava do something like this. It's always good to see, Joe Bava and Richard Report do what they do there. Very creative chess. This bishop on d6 is wild. I could not believe this bishop just sitting here like this. And I mean, Ray's thinking like, what is this? What is that?
Yeah.
No, he's like, yo, what are you doing? And
Yeah.
it definitely startled Ray here. Now it's not like he's never seen it before, which maybe he probably hasn't. Maybe he has, but he does not move instantly, and he's definitely using his time as he should, trying to figure out which way he wants to proceed here.
I guess it has to do with the fact that he didn't expect Jeffrey to do something so strange and unique. Like he expected Jeffrey to be solid. Even in the previous rounds, he was mostly solid, didn't try to go all that gung-ho in the opening. And I'm pretty sure that Ray have seen this position before, but this is a different kind of shock. So we've seen that shock from Dominguez, but I think Dominguez just doesn't know what's up
Yeah,
in that position.
yeah. Feels like he doesn't know what's up in that position. He's still thinking. By the way, nothing happened on his board. Moving over to Daniel Naroditsky and Linderman. This is a big boy matchup here. Let's see
So,
what
yeah,
happened.
what did you expect from this match?
You know what? I expect to see fireworks. I do see. This reminds me of kind of like Karpov Kasparov in a way. With Naroditsky being Kasparov and Linderman being Karpov in style, in terms of styles of play. Where I know Linderman's very universal, but more of a solid player, more of a very just solid player. And Naroditsky is, and he's solid, but most likely swashbuckling tactics. Right, I'm blowing people off the board with tactical ability to do stuff and very creative play. I think here. So interesting, as we already see. I've never even. What is this opening? He played e3. So Kali. Oh, he's been playing this. He played this with the game he won. Who did he beat?
Yeah, against Jeffrey.
Against
Played
Jeffrey.
it
Yeah.
against Jeffrey Zhang. Yeah, that
Mm.
was a very, very nice game by Danya. And as they say, don't ever change the winning team.
Yeah.
Danya is back. back for another victim. But we'll see if he's going to find another victim because Lenderman pretty sure expected this. And if you just look at the times, man, Lenderman didn't even spend a single minute.
Yeah, he's actually in prep, obviously, here, feeling good about the position. I mean, Queen C7, too. Yeah, he played that quickly. Quickly, not allowing any bishop to get to F4. Played bishop D3 here. Kali
And
system.
it's a Coley system, but a better version for Lenderman, as Alex will have the chance to get his bishop out to G4. Like in the Jeffrey game, Jeffrey played it with pawn to E7 to E6, basically closing in the bishop, and that was the issue all through that game.
Absolutely, and that looks more of like a Caro-Kann exchange now, where I was actually a big fan of that for a while. But the knights are misplaced. Actually, no, they're in the right area. The bishop is actually misplaced. Usually that gets out early, but of course the queen's here. So a little bit different. Maybe you'll see C3 almost immediately here, stopping this, but also there's an E5. So maybe just castling.
Does that work? C3, E5. Can I capture you and pin you with Queen E2? Could be
Yeah,
something
GG. That could
that's
be.
a little.
Yeah, that's pretty
I'm
gross.
not sure if White is
Queen
winning
E2.
already, but it looks. It might be GG. Actually, you're right because
Takes
you
F4.
have to defend and F4, and you're just pinned forever,
Yeah,
or you
this
lose
is
the piece.
GG. So C3 baiting move. Be nice to play some C3 in there. Pretty good. Pretty balanced so far. We're going to move on to the last game and then look at the women's champ section. Here, let's see over here. We have a what? Roy? A Berlin, but with the D3. Nice.
Yeah, I almost said a fascinating Berlin, but I don't want to lie.
Yeah, I mean, never ever. Like, don't even ever do that again.
Your standard Berlin middle game.
Yeah.
Nothing spectacular so far.
Of course. Wow, surprise, man.
Shocker. I know. It's a huge shocker.
Nothing surprising in the Berlin. Man, that's news today. News today. But John Michael Burke here has actually been playing good in this tournament. Not only this tournament, he played good at the juniors as well. So it's a very strong player, underrated. He did take down Darius, which is much higher rated than him. So he is a force to be reckoned with, and you cannot underestimate him.
Yeah, he was in the lead in the last round, but then he caught a very, very aggressive Caruana. And that was a difficult task to handle, but he's back and he's coming with the main lines, so we'll see how he'll do.
We'll see how he does. Knight b to d2, yeah, just kind of regular stuff here. Obviously, I haven't played Roy in a while, but rook e1 and rook e2, knight f1 maybe. It almost looks like a Italian game in a way here.
Yeah, it basically is just the bishop being on b5 and a little bit more aggressive, attacking the c6 knight. So I'm thinking that Bruzon might go knight e7, knight g6 himself, just to avoid the trade.
Same idea and then a6, bishop a7. And we've seen a lot of this actually, even from Meltwater, where we've seen this position or this type a whole lot here. White black gets this knight over here, and it becomes crazy, bring the knight to h5, and it was double edged, absolutely double edged stuff there. So pretty exciting. But we're actually going to move on, see what the women are doing over there. Let's see what we got. Take a look. Irina Krush and Carissa Yip. So predictions-wise, how many games do you think are going to be decisive? Actually, me and Maria did this last time too. And between all 12 games, how many do you think are going to be decisive?
Decisive. I'd rather separate them by groups.
Okay.
So the ladies section and open section.
Okay.
So I think the ladies section, whoa, I'm gonna go nuts here. +5.
Yeah. I am with you on that. Five wins, at least 4, but definitely 5 wins. I'm looking at that. And then for the open.
For the open, I think +2, because the players are very close in rating, and I think there'll be a couple outlier games. So I would go with.
I like that number, and I'll actually just do not say the same. I'll go an extra +3. So
okay, that's fair actually, and it will really hinge on if we get a result in the Ray Robson Jeffrey Jean game or in that game between Dominguez and Shankland.
Yeah. That's gonna be nice. That's gonna be nice to see. A lot of chess to be played today, and me and Maria actually were talking about how the women's sections are just more aggressive. They're just
Yes.
more aggressive, and they want to destroy each other. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be nice to see. This is a very exciting chess to see from the women's today, and always. But let's see what this opening was from Irina and Carissa here. Big girl matchup here. Let's see, e4, Carol Khan. So she went with e5, bishop e2.
Very clever choice by Irina, by the way, going for the solid Carol Khan,
Oh
a
yeah,
weapon that Botvinnik used to have against Michal Tal. So
right.
it is designed against tactical players, and Carissa obviously is a big tactical player herself.
Absolutely. In fact, I've actually tried and had great success with the Panel Botvinnik because of like, well, if we're gonna play solid, then I can take you into aggressive waters by trying to play Panel Botvinnik. Or sometimes the strange Jobava way of e4 and c4, e4, c6, c4. And Jobava has some really strange games with that one, which is my style, right? So pretty fun, but overall, you do need to play solid as black, and white needs to try to get as aggressive as possible. Bishop takes d4 or queen takes d4.
That is a great question. If you go queen d4, oftentimes it runs into plans such as knight d7 and knight c6, winning time for Irina. And if she manages to consolidate and hide her king, she's gonna have the better structure. So queen d4 might be a little bit too dangerous. The other move would be to take on d4 with the bishop and play pawn to c4. Just try to undermine the center before Irina could consolidate.
Yeah, this is kind of annoying. I'm not the biggest fan yet. I don't like trading as much because it is Carol Khan, and like they want the trades, they got the better structure. So, I mean, queen takes d4. I also have like a g4 in there. That's too aggressive, though. I can't play h4 to follow. I also have this check, but that can be blocked to 97. I guess we do take with the bishop and take our losses in a way.
Yeah.
And just try to, keep everything under control. And then she takes with the queen. Queen takes d4 is on the board. I guess she's on that rapid development phase. I love it.
Yeah. But queen takes d4 is always double-edged because you may just lose a lot of time with that move.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's mostly in the way.
Interesting here. Yeah, black's just totally fine. Two pawn islands, and white having two as well. So yeah, it's stable. Zeros. I'm pretty sure here. Engine's like 0.40. Yeah. So zeros. We got the bishop b5 coming. Maybe c4 is an idea. Knight d2 to f3. It's not clear yet. Not clear, but that's fine. Totally fine. Wow, look at Nazi.
Still a very double-edged
look at this, right?
Exactly.
This is what I'm looking for. This is the kind of
this
chess.
This was the other big matchup. The leader of the whole event, Katerina Nemtsova, she is in the lead of the women's field, but she's facing off with a champion, Nazi Paikidze, and she is coming up with a bombshell. Tell us more about it, James.
Well, g4, first off, g4 for the score. Secondly, this is a big girl move or a big boy move. G4 is disgusting. I love this kind of play. Now, of course, from the black side, I've actually looked at this before with a semi-Slav, where this is dangerous. It is dangerous, and usually you're like castled at this point or about to. So there was probably some, not misplay, but some deviation with maybe an early a6 or something. Something was early to allow g4 to be here now, but I'm a big fan of it. Knight takes g4. Obviously, you can just play rook g1. Put the pressure on the file with a smile there. e4 is looking good. This is great. I am a big fan. Now, of course, Engine's like, oh, it's half a pawn better for black. But, looking at this from a human standpoint, this is a scary move. And psychology-wise, you're feeling this pressure is about to happen. I get steamrolled over here. So I'm a big fan of the g4 option. So let's see what she does and how she handles it. Because if she fails in any manner of taking care of this g4 pawn, this is going to be an asset. Rook g1, h4, g5. I mean, it's very scary.
I completely agree. And what you see here, ladies and gentlemen, This is super grandmaster preparation. You don't just think, I'm just gonna go g4 here. That never happens. There always some work behind the scenes before you push that pawn from g2 to g4. You don't really do this without actually having proper prep. And yeah, I agree. So if you take rook g1, e4, and yeah, computers might hate it, but if you asked Mr. Mihal Tal, would he take white or black? In a heartbeat, he's
That's
gonna
right.
say, I love white. I've got the center. I love what this girl is doing.
Absolutely. Shout out to my grandfather Tao. That is him. Yes, correct. Yes. Sack first, think later. I'm from that school. Sack first, think
Exactly.
later. So it is very nice. Now, of course, don't follow that at home. Don't actually sack and then think. That would be terrible. But it tells you what kind of chess we are trying to play here. C5. Look at that. Early C5 with the bishop E7 diagonal here. Pretty
Yeah,
nice.
c5 is a standard move, a very, very good move, and that's that basic chess principle that you follow. Your opponent's playing on the side, strike in the center. That's what
100%.
Katerina is doing.
Excellent move,
Now,
in fact. Yeah, follow the principle to the T. If you attack on the wing or play on the wing, is counter with play in the center. So G4, C5 hits the center here. Now Nazi has to actually really figure out what she wants to do. G5
yeah,
now, but
I
that's knight
presume
H5 maybe.
g5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably just G5.
g5. And if you go knight d5, then pawn to e4. And even though my structure will be a wreck as white, definitely you can tell that white will get the center, and that will provide some compensation.
Did you see the engine go crazy here?
Whoa, maybe knight b4. Oh,
Oh, it wins a pawn. Because you could take on
oh,
D4 and knight C2, right? Wow. It
wow.
wins a pawn. Let's show
So
that,
it's
chat. This
easy
is
to
why.
mess it up.
Yeah, yeah. Queen
Okay,
D1
queen d1,
takes.
c takes,
Terrible.
knight takes.
Wow.
Terrible.
Family channel. Yikes. Give me
Yeah,
everything. And
this
you
is
can
just
resign on the
taking the
spot.
whole house.
Whole
Not
house.
good.
Appreciate the generosity. So, you have to play A3 here, I guess. Wow. That's hard to see.
A3, and so the nature and why this is double-edged for white, if you're not going to get any sort of an advantage, you don't get the pawn to e4, it's not necessarily clear what that pawn is doing on g5.
Right. Right. In fact, it blocks sometimes. If I can get H4, H5 in, then G6, okay, it helps. But if I fail to even do that, I mean, look, hey, big problems in small places. So we'll see what happens. This is interesting. Man, we can stay on this game all day, but we're going to move on a little bit. We have Anna Zatonski versus Megan Lee. Megan Lee,
So
what was this?
Megan Lee, I believe this is one of her um, earliest, and so she is new in the championship. She's playing this very solid Slav system. However, Zatonski Anna, who's obviously multiple times US champion, she's coming up with this sly idea of not putting the knight to the regular space of c3, but going knight d2, and eventually wants to go knight c4.
Attack there. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. I think black, honestly, is equalized easily. Feels good. Black's position. Everything's fine. There's no weaknesses in the situation. It looks like this was a Carol Khan or some type of Scandinavian, where you get a position where if white wasn't aggressive enough, then black just gets a very good in-game type position. But here, white looks good in it too, so just level. Very level here, but Anna definitely wants to win due to her being the much higher rated player by 200 points. Now, of course, ratings obviously just a number here, but at the same time, she doesn't want to take a draw here, and definitely doesn't want to lose, obviously. So hard to make progress, not in progress, but these type of positions are the most annoying. Obviously, of course, playing equal positions and just trying to outplay your opponent here by making good moves and improving the position.
Yeah, it's a slow-moving game, something that may fit Anna a bit more than Megan, but we'll see. Objectively, I agree. This is nothing special. White shouldn't have an advantage, but coming up with a plan as black is not so easy.
I actually like knight h4 just to imbalance it some. Maybe try to grab the bishop if bishop g4. There's e2 hanging. So do I have to go f3? Yeah, that's probably too much.
Yeah, that's a bit too much.
That's a bit too
Probably
much.
your plan would be to go knight to c4. If they trade, that already would give a nagging advantage for Zatonski, as white is planning to go knight a5. You never have rook b8 due to this idea of bishop f4, and the b pawn is dropping.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful here. And yeah, that's a very nice idea. Yes, we have doubled pawns, but the compensation is through the A file and also the attacking of the B pawn with stuff like knight to A5. Let's refresh. And there it is. Knight C4 is
Yep,
on the
knight c4
board.
on the board.
Right there.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
so
good.
now she'll have to figure out whether she wants to take on b3 or move the queen away. And also, just a side note here, queen c7 is not really possible due to bishop f4 running into that attack. And then white would definitely be much better, as all kinds of knight d6 ideas would show up, or even bishop d6.
Right.
Just getting rid of the defender and just have that d6 square for the knight later on.
In fact, I mean, white has some type of like, really, what do you do? Like, do you either take the queen or you move the queen? Like, there's only two options.
Yeah, those are the two options.
Queen a6, really?
Yeah.
Is this a move?
Yeah,
Andrew's
queen
like,
a6
yeah, it is
a
Wow.
move. Yeah,
That is a
but
move.
it is a weird looking one.
It's very strange. Your queen's on a6, but it does restrict white from doing a lot. I guess you still could go bishop f4 there. Interesting. And it also kind of keeps an eye here. I don't think I'm taking this pawn, but maybe. No, b7's hanging. So it's a strange situation here, but I think I'll take white slightly, just a little bit, just a touch.
Yeah, it's just a little bit it's a little bit more comfortable to play with white, but yeah, objectively it still should be pretty much fine for black.
What is this knight doing on h5?
Oh,
What
so
is
took a
this?
Janova with some heavy preparation,
Let's see.
or maybe she's just out of prep. Who knows?
Oh, London. Okay, that's common.
London.
That makes sense.
Knight h5, f6, g6, bishop e7. And in fact, this is like a reversed Slav, if you think about it. With black playing the closed system with pawn to e3. But yeah, with the tempo down, because of course white has this extra bishop b5 move in there. However, how are you going to take advantage of this situation as black? Because if bishop takes c5,
if bishop takes c5,
I might just consider either going knight d4 or e4.
Knight e4?
No, oh, not knight e4. That'd be a bit much, even for me. But pawn to e4.
Pawn e4. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pawn e4. Oh, that's a nice move. I love e4 here. Very strong move. I like. Yeah, it's a lot going on here, breaking it up. Castling, kings in the center. You make weaknesses already. Yeah, that's pretty nice. I actually like that a lot. That's pretty good.
So maybe Tokajanova is actually overextending a little bit, because I really don't like that pawn structure. Like, what is that smile doing? G6, F6, E6? It's an early smile. It's an early smile of those pawns.
Early smile. Early smile. Well, early smiles everywhere, guys. Early smiles everywhere. We're going to actually take a quick break and come right back. So, guys, don't go anywhere. Of course, we have the U.S. Championships 2021. You got myself, National Master James Canty III, and Grandmaster Dennis Boros, the man himself. Guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a few. right, guys, and we're back. U.S. Champs 2021. We're taking a look at this Carissa Yip game right here after Queen A4 check. Dennis, we
Oh
was just
yeah.
briefly talking about it. What's going on here?
Um, Black is consolidating, or at least that's how I feel, because Irina is ready to pop that knight to c6. And after bishop b5, as you suggested, James, Black may just go queen c7, and I'm not quite sure how White is going to break through. And if you're not breaking through as White, Black is just lacking the center control. Just look at that beautiful pawn chain that Irina has that f7, e6, d5 pawns, the d5 overprotected. In the long run, once Black manages to castle, she's just going to be better.
Yeah, this is rough. I mean, if you had if you had more development going, maybe like even the rook file open, this would be a little bit different. Maybe she has to go for c4 now and literally just go for it. C4, but then there's just bishop e7 takes. The bishop gets back. Yeah, this is not the easiest. Not the easiest. Maybe you just develop your pieces. Where do you go here? And this is why it's good to be booked up, to be honest, actually, and not just playing, off the head in a way, especially against somebody as strong as Irina Crush. This feels like this was played kind of just off the head now after Queen A4 check. We're on move 10 here, where theory could be a lot deeper too as well, where it feels like White just didn't get anything from the opening.
Yeah, I agree with you. You should be trying something very aggressive now, because if you're just going slow-mo with knight d2, then there's bishop e7, knight f3, and again, the tragedy of a tempo. If you could just jump onto the d4 square, like just sneak in one more little move, you'd be victorious. But that's the moment then Irina would castle, and you're worse.
And
You
you're
just
gone.
don't have the center control.
That's it. That is correct there. That's pretty tough. Pretty tough situation. We will bounce back to her though. Let's go to haven't seen her yet. Sabina Foiser. Didn't she win a US chess championship too?
Oh yeah,
Women's?
she did.
Yeah, she
Yep.
won a women's. And Tatev, who has played in many. I've seen her many times in this one. So not the greatest start for Tatev. She had a heartbreaking loss in the first round there with the Carol Khan. And I remember watching that. Maybe that was the first round or second, but it was a heartbreaking loss where she was winning and then lost the game there. And then I think she lost the second round too, which
Yeah,
is
she lost to
tough.
Carissa, but she's bouncing back. She's on the comeback trail. She won against Anna Zatonski. So that was
That's a
good
big win. That's a
Yeah.
big win. In fact, I mean, she's like number 2. Yeah, right. So she took out the number 2 in the tournament, which is very good. So cool. I like it so far. I'm sure that's a huge confidence boost for her. Sabina here, even though it's at an hour and 7, not the biggest deficit in time, but it does play a role being up 20 minutes almost on time here. I wonder what was the opening? Queen's Gambit, probably.
Yeah, Queen's Gambit. Let's see. Yeah, knight
Oh, by
f3. It
transposition.
transposes to that variation. It's good to see. In the midst of the London epidemic, some classical Queen's Gambit.
Yeah,
You'll
the
love to
London
see it.
epidemic. You heard it here first. The London epidemic, and the only London that we play around here is the Joe Bava London,
Yup.
not the London system, because that's gross. And if you play the London system, you should be ashamed of yourself. But that's okay. We still love you here. We still love you.
We love you, but Queen's Gambit. What are you watching?
All right. What are you
It's
doing?
not called the London Gambit.
That's not
And there's a reason why that's not the name of that series.
correct. The London system. Yikes. It's a bad word. Okay, knight b to d7, and after knight to b to d7, you have knight e5. I don't really like
Or
knight e5.
even bishop d. Yeah, knight e5
develop.
doesn't really do too much. Black would just sidestep with queen e7 as Tatev. I think she'd be just slightly bit better because you've got like a lot of control over the e4 square. And what actually makes Sabina's choice hard is that she's trying to get that e4 in, but it's so difficult. So maybe something like bishop d3 would come to mind just to prepare that idea.
Oh, yeah, that's actually probably the best move, to be honest. That's my favorite. In fact, out of all the moves, yeah. You would see this a lot, especially in e4 openings, too, where sometimes, especially even in a panel Bavanik, I've done it before, playing bishop takes c4, bring it in immediately back to d3, and then we just attack this diagonal. We play e4, you press for e5, you play bishop g5, you go for mate, right? And that's the way to do it. This bishop is nicely placed here, sometimes even sacrificial opportunities and then taking on e6, but that's usually when the e file is open. So now that it's closed, the bishop literally has no aspirations of doing anything on this diagonal. So bishop d3 makes the most sense.
Yeah, bishop d3, and they're probably going to fight over these critical squares, the e4, d4 one. Tatev may even respond with c5. So if
Right.
you go bishop d3 and e4, then you lose a center pawn. And is exactly what Tatev would love to accomplish in that situation.
Interesting. It is a lot going on here. It's a spicy position, lots of life to it, and we move on to the finals here, or the final game in the women's. Talia Cervantes versus Ritha.
Yeah, Talia has been having a very decent tournament. Very standard closed Grunfeld position. Nothing really special is happening. White has a little bit of control in the center. She has like a 2-1 advantage, a little pressure on the d5 pawn, but nothing spectacular. Maybe Cervantes could go for an idea of an a4. Again, just trying to undermine that structure.
That's exactly what happened. A4 just happened now. It just happened, and there it is, trying to undermine the structure, as Dennis pointed out here. And for white, I mean, I'm not. This reminds me of the Larson type system. I've experimented with a lot of openings, so this reminds me of some type of Larson system, or obviously a ready to as well. But here, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan. It feels like I just have too much to do, and like it is. There's a lot of flexibility, which is always good to have flexibility, but I can't take the e5 square. I can't really play e4. I mean, in fact, black might even has zeros here, right? Black could be easily trying to get more than usual here. But how does black proceed too? So I guess, I mean, honestly, just zeros, like the engine
Yeah,
says.
it's more of a standstill. Like it's very difficult to come up with plans. Like I was just hypothesizing that like knight d2, queen a5, trying to get active. And you can't really punish my queen going out there to a5, like knight d2, queen a5. But even if I would manage to push my pawn to a3, that doesn't change a thing because white would go bishop c3. Not white, but let's say knight e5, like instead of pawn to a3, white would go knight e5, and then black would play a3. But that doesn't really accomplish too much because bishop c3 and we back to square one.
Yeah, and
Queen
I actually like this for
c7.
white now. I mean, I might be able to play e4 now, then rook e1.
Yeah,
In
but
many
there's no
cases.
reason to rush this as black. Like
Right.
Talia could just go knight to d7 or knight d4, all very much legitimate moves. And yeah, it's roughly even. Not that easy to do anything spectacular for either side. Maybe the b pawn could become a target after an eventual trade and queen b6 ideas, but even then, I could just go knight d2. So I would say it's still roughly even, but maybe a slight pull for white. I kind of like the fact that Tesfaran has the control of the center, but maybe that's just a personal preference.
Yeah, I think it is control of the center, absolutely. Plus the strange placement of the queen on c1. Yeah, it's strange, but a lot of times it does help. Sometimes with very quick attacks, f4, g5 if you need to at the right moment. But yeah, other than that, pretty standard stuff there. We're actually gonna move over to the boys here, the open section, and see actually what is going on. Let me pull that up.
Yeah, in the boys section, we've got some big games going on. I see the Fabi game is heating up. So plenty of action.
Let's see what that Fabi game looks like. Wow, a lot of
Yeah,
moves. A
a
lot of
lot of
moves.
moves and that king in the middle. Wow.
Lots of
So
moves. Fabi playing black. Yeah,
a
some type of Nimzo still.
classical queen c2 Nimzo, a Kasparov favorite, and Fabiano is playing somewhat of a sideline, not the main d5 line everyone is playing. He's giving up a pawn.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely interesting. Huge. I mean, like, huge play for both sides here. There's a double pawn. Obviously, white has the two bishops. Pretty good there. We have control of the b6 square. Honestly, I still prefer white slightly. Yes, we got the double pawns, but I got the bishops. And it's starting to become a little open. If I could get e4 in, it might be very problematic. His bishop
Yeah.
b7 though.
On the other hand, just look at those two kings. White's king is still stuck in the middle, while black, that is Fabiano, is ready to go for some action. The
Right.
question is whether Fabi is going to go for knight b6, trying to populate those center squares on d5 and e4, or will he try to go for e5? And weirdly enough, if you go e5, that's very double-edged, because you're not only opening it up for your rook and pieces, but you're opening up for that battery exactly.
At the same time. At the same time. Double-edged, guys. We're going to see it. This double-edged sword here, and someone might get hit with it. Let's see. The Sam game, 54 minutes. I mean, he went into the think tank. He was thinking the whole time. I mean, look at Sam's time. Did he use any, right? You know, he didn't use any time.
Not a single minute.
Not a single minute.
By Shanklin, then it shows. Dominguez got completely off guards, not following these online developments, this rage of the London.
Ugh, it's gross. It's disgusting.
But it's paying big dividends for Sam, as I think Dominguez is out of his preparation, and it's slightly worse because that bishop on c8 is closed on in and doesn't really have a place to go to. Like, even if you go bishop d7, that might just lose a pawn on the spot due to queen a3.
Bishop d7, queen a3, rook c1 after rook c8.
Yeah,
and there's a pin.
Yikes. Yep. It's just game.
This was a disaster, in fact, for, I mean, and the engine's like, oh, it's just equal. But as a human here, this is like a disaster for black. I got the knight e5 post, rook c1's coming, queen a3 is still in the air. I'm down on time. Like, what happened, right? You know, just what happened? Never go down this route again if I'm playing as black, especially against the London system.
Yeah, Dominguez might consider taking on d4, and possibly White could consider either taking with the e-pawn or with the queen, by the way, getting, you know, in a symmetrical position where both sides have some winning chances. And do look at the queen side. You've got 2 versus 1 there, and in the endgame, that might prove to be decisive.
Correct.
In the long run, obviously,
it's
not going to be a big deal just yet.
Right, right. Interesting. And we're going to move on. Ray Robeson. Lots of moves developed. That bishop is still on d6. Like, he didn't move it. What happened? There was a a6.
A6. And they're kind of getting into a Sicilian Spanish, isn't it?
Yep.
It has this e5, c5, but
That's
that
so
weird bishop on d6.
Call this the Roy Sicilian. The Roy
Yeah, I love
Sicilian.
that. Coin that.
The Roy Sicilian.
The Roy Sicilian.
You got the Roy setup, right? Bishop on c2. But then you got the Sicilian that you played c5 already. And then there's a bishop on d6. Like, they literally made this position up.
Yeah, it kind of like a Where is Waldo type of situation. The Waldo is right on the d6 square.
Yeah, and he has to move it. But his doesn't look the same. Here, his looks completely different. Well, I mean, in a way, it actually does look the same. But I guess the bishop on c2, this one always has, like, you know, hopes of being alive. Even bishop b3 happens when we can't do the same with this bishop.
Exactly.
It's just
That's
kind
a
of ugly.
Great point, James.
Terrible.
The fact that our bishop on c2 can go both ways, can defend the e4 pawn and go bishop b3, that is a huge difference. Like, the fact that bishop on d6 only goal is to defend the e5 pawn, that makes it somewhat uncomfortable there. And there'll be a couple of issues for Jeffrey, and that's why he's sort of eating time. If you go bishop c7 and then d6, then what exactly is that bishop doing?
Oh, it's not even a bishop anymore if you do that. Yeah, this is just extra pawn. You got a big pawn on c7, right? It's just a huge pawn sitting on c7, and this is absolutely terrible. d5 opens the position way too much. So bishop d6, yes, it was a cool move, but, I mean, it's serving to be, or proving to be right now, maybe not the best at all.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting question because I feel that Jeffrey will try. Well, I thought that he's going to try bishop c7 and d5, but he may just play a knight g6 with the idea of castling and then just prudently going back to e7 and d6.
Yeah, and in a way wasted a tempo there, but also kind of threw white off of their regular play. So mission accomplished if that's what he was looking for, because I definitely made it different. A pawn with a funny hat on d6. Yeah, Jason. Chat there is funny. Knight g6, knight f4 is coming. Yeah, this is I'm not feeling Black's position anymore. I thought I was like, yo, Jeffrey, that's a cool way to play against the Rosalimo. And now I'm like, well, we got to figure out what you're gonna do with this bishop, and then we'll say if it's cool or not.
But James, I'm gonna be very bullish here, and I apologize. I think if Ray sees, you played bishop d6, you played knight e7, knight g6, your king is still in the middle.
Yep.
Bam, let's go d4.
I'm a big fan
Let's
of
go
it
d4.
right now. D4 for the score. Open it up. It says you need to go. You need to get out of here now. But then what happens after castles?
If you castle, I could just have like a minimum success. A d5 could be good, but I could also take on an e5, I believe.
Oh, is there an f4 in there?
And I will get the bishop pair.
Whoa, yeah, because that's immediate.
Just loving that for white.
And then F, yeah, this is just now open position. F4, E5 is automatic. Takes F4, knight back up, E5. I mean, this is we're on the cusp of winning here.
Yeah, this is lovely. I mean, as Bobby Fischer would say, we've got the bishop pair plus the center.
Start a new game. Right. Sign the score sheets now. Game is over. That could be nasty.
You don't want to do this longer. Nope.
It could be very nasty there. All right, let's go. What we have? A battle of Sam and Darius here. Was this another garbage London?
Nope. This time it was a classical Queen's Gambit.
Perfect.
Yay.
I'll take it over a London.
Some classicist over here. Nice.
Any day.
Some fun chess. Bishop d6. Okay. So James, would you accept this offer by Darius to trade off on f4, or would you say thank you for the offer, but see you next time instead?
That is a great question. I am trying to figure out all the structural ways I could do things. In fact, I am thinking of g3 or bishop g3. And the reason being is, yes, I know my structure. The structure is exactly the same, like for both. So it's symmetrical, draw-like. I do want a slight imbalance, but if I'm going to do the imbalance, but then again, no, I would probably just end up taking it, to be honest, especially after stuff I've been learning these days, studying more pawn structures, chess, and just studying the boring stuff that makes you much stronger and that the GMs do. I'm just studying pawn structures and things. Bishop g3, I'm not really trying to do that and be wrong, trying to play aggressive and get an imbalanced position where I just have a worse pawn structure for no reason, really. I mean, the attack looks cool to play bishop g3, right, and then takes, and even if he doesn't take it. But if he does, I mean, what is this? I'm not doing anything. I'm a far away from doing anything over here. And it really isn't realistic, right? So
not really too much.
I probably would just take it and then maybe knight f3 or rook c1, probably pressure to c file, and just kind of play this out and try to outplay him based off the pawn structure.
I mean, I think you're doing the right thing studying all these classical structures, but be very, very careful so that Petrosian isn't going to take your soul.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, actually, my grandfather is Tal. That's family right there. Shout out to my granddad, Tal. Yeah, absolutely. But definitely, I was like, if there's nothing there, right? I've learned a lot from the sack first, think later school. They're like, you know what? If there's nothing going to be there, I'm just going to go this route and go the slow positional route. It's kind of annoying. And which he does. Sam takes on d6 here, but I mean, you can just we probably don't even have to come back to this game. The rest of this game is not going to be anything. This is going to be a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting one.
This is going to be a long time, guys. Let's move on. Nerditsky. Okay, let's go. What we got? Nerditsky and Lindy.
Nerditsky has played somewhat of a non-standard chess, and he managed to get Lenderman out of his book, because if you remember, Lenderman had spent no time in the opening.
Oh, yeah.
But with Queen A4, I think he got him out of the book.
Thinking.
Yep. So the whole point of queen a4, if you can go back there for a second, was that if you go e6, I have knight e5, and suddenly your bishop is just outside the pawn chain, and you don't have really any good ways of stopping this idea of bishop b5, and also you're hitting the g4 bishop. That's right. And this is something that Landerman just didn't want to face. Instead, decided to bring the bishop back, just unpin himself, and try to consolidate that way. So c3, bishop g4, bishop d7, queen c2, rook c8. So here, of course, you don't want to castle as white, because grandmasters, although they don't have the tricky reputation, they do have this move of knight b4, and then you lose the bishop pair, or even worse, you get a doubled pawn.
Double pawn and losing the bishop pair, absolutely terrible. Or you just move the queen to b1, and then knight takes, and you just lose, in fact, the strong bishop too, that you want to use in many cases. That's gone. So, difficult situation to be in. And how did he respond to it? Let's see.
So he played rook c8, a3.
A3. Bishop back
Bishop
to g4.
g4 again.
And queen back to a4. I wonder if he's going to take a draw here, or is he just going to be doing, repeat first, then figure out what to do.
I think e6 or just avoiding repetition is completely fine for black. Just go e6, bishop d6, and go for that. And this is the moment when all these grandmasters, 2600 plus, are wondering, what is my tournament situation like? How is Danya doing in his tournament? So they actually do a little bit of a psychological analysis whether taking the draw would favor them or playing on would be the wise choice. So as far as I know, Danya isn't doing too good in this event. He lost to Ray Robson, lost to Dariusz Switch in a very interesting opposite colored endgame. So it could be that Landerman, based on that, could go for e6 and says, yes, this might not be the absolute best move, but I'm going to take a chance.
Yeah, he's going to take it. I'm with that, actually. In fact, yeah, and looking at his tournament situation, if I am Linderman, I am going to just try to play on here and, in a way, win while he's down. If he's losing, cool, he could be in a slump. Maybe this would be the chance now that instead of going for the draw, maybe try to actually play on and play very solidly here and try to win the game. But we'll see. There's a lot of chess left, only 11 moves from those guys as we move on to John Burke and Buzan.
All that said, it's not that doesn't give Danya chances. So
Absolutely
if your opponent is over pushing, doesn't take the repetition, that means it's a free game, and they're gonna freestyle from there, and the stronger player wins.
And it looks like we have the plan did happen from what you see in many Italian games. 97 d4, knight g6, bishop c2, rook e8, rook e1. And I remember seeing even h3. I like this inclusion here because knight g4 is a lot. I've seen that a lot. So now I don't have to play rook e2. The question is, do I still swing the knight? That seems right.
Yeah, that does seem right because the e4 pawn is over defended, and that is actually very similar to the game what we saw between Ray Robson and Jeffrey Zhang. The bishop is very useful there. So because of that, you can go for this Ruy Lopez maneuver with knight f1, knight g3, and I guess you could do it. The only question is whether black can strike with d5.
Look at this.
Oh, d4 is incoming.
Look at this, big fella. Whoa. d4 happened. He took on c3, and now he's like, how do I do this? It's about to get spicy.
So you can just wave that red flag in front of Ray Robson. He's going to go after you.
Like a bull, exactly. I think I should take on e5.
Yeah, d takes e5. D takes e5 I like a lot.
I like it a lot.
Who really cares about the b2 pawn? You just give me extra development for that sacrifice material. So, and exactly for the bishop. So, still double-edged, but it looks good. I kind of like this one.
I can definitely like this. Well, bishop d6 again, and I'm not trying to be on the other end of this. If I'm playing black, like this is not what I was looking for, especially with bishop d6 as well. So I'm like, well, in a way, I remember one of the questions I was working with Arthur Kogan, and one of the questions that you ask yourself is, how did the opening go? Did you have a good opening? Like, was it actually a very good opening for you? And I mean, it wasn't terrible at all, in fact, but this bishop on d6 was a very strange piece, and now it's being highlighted. We can capture it now. White's going to get initiative, and that's going to be, that could be, in fact, problematic or even losing for Jeffrey.
Yeah, so we're gonna see what Ray chooses. He's definitely wondering what to do here. Yeah, d takes e5 seems to be the most courageous.
There it is. So it's on the
Yeah,
board.
there it is. Yeah.
D takes e5 is there. Bishop takes is basically forced. Maybe you move the bishop. Maybe he goes bishop c7.
Yeah, bishop c7. But even if push comes to shove, probably shove. Bishop g5. And your queen or is getting in trouble.
Yikes, look at this. I mean, this is just gross right now.
So computers may try to convince you, okay, this is still fine. This is no, this is not fine.
Yeah.
This is just mayhem.
Yeah, you're in a lot of trouble. This isn't gonna feel too good on the way down.
Yeah.
And there it is. Wow. Well, we'll come back to that. We're gonna move over to the women's really quickly and glance at those games. Let's pull those up.
Let's see how Carissa is doing versus Irina Crush. And actually, Carissa listened to you. She listened.
Oh, she did. Yeah, there it is. Okay. And in fact, we're going to get deeper into this game here. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're actually going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to get deeper into the games here. So, guys, don't go anywhere. Enjoy yourself on this quick break. U.S. Championships. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. We are back. Yeah, a lot going on. We're looking at the women's section now with the spicy game, starting with Carissa Yip and Irina Crush. Dennis, what is this going on? What's going on? Did she get something out of this?
Yeah, so Carissa actually followed your advice of going all in before Irina could just comfortably castle. So if we just go back a couple of moves, she played queen a4 check, knight c6, and this is the moment James suggested c4, and guess what? Carissa is reading your mind.
Absolutely. She's from the school of the the Hikaru's and the grandfather Tao, right?
Yep,
So
yep,
yeah, special place in our heart, grandfather Tao. So I do
yep.
understand C4 and then capturing and just going all out and just caveman style, like you mentioned before. So C4 takes.
C4 takes, queen takes, bishop e7. And here I want to stop for a second. I think Carissa already kind of realized that, yeah, um, Irina is about to castle. Probably there won't be too much of an advantage for me. So she went for the slow knight c3 and f4. But in fact, she could have played with her standard style and could have played g4 here,
Bang. There it is.
which is obviously not a move you'd want to play unknowingly. But here, she has the idea of going f4, f5, just burying that bishop on g6.
Which would force a bishop to B1 idea somewhere in there. Bishop takes
Yep,
B1.
bishop takes b1, rook takes b1. But in that case, our big friend and world champion would say, well, we've got the bishop there, we've got the center control. What can go wrong in
What
this
can
case?
go wrong? Yeah. Queen E4 looking great. I mean, wow. Super attack, something she definitely missed there, which gave us the position you see now after C4 takes. She just said, I'll develop, play F4, H6 is now played, but still, G4 is tempting. But I
G4
can't
is
play
tempting,
F5.
yeah, but you don't really have that idea anymore. And in fact, Irina is just realizing it, and that's why she played h6. So if g4, she can go back to h7, and no longer can you trap that bishop. So that's why it was important to go g4 immediately.
Rook D1 play with the
Well,
F rook. Definitely I would have
yeah.
went with the A rook for sure. For
Um,
sure I would have went with the A rook.
I'm not sure about it. I don't really hate Carissa's choice because she's giving up on plans of attacking on the king side. And I think that was just like one single moment where you could go for it. Here, possibly you can go for the slower positional squeeze.
Maybe bishop F3 next too as well.
Yes, bishop f3,
Rook
and maybe
C1,
even,
knight
yeah,
B5.
bishop f3 and get that knight to d6. And
Right.
probably that's the big plan. If you can get your knight to d6, you will get a tangible advantage.
That would be great. That would be
And
great here.
yeah, talk about tangible advantages. We've got this game by Zatonski versus Megan Lee.
Whoa.
And yeah, we've got the position we've been talking about. Megan Lee, I think, underestimated the potential dangers of taking on b3.
And bishop F4 happened, rook C1, and white's just having a slightly better position, if not better already. Knight to D2, knight E5 maybe is a possibility, and like you said, bishop D6 in some cases.
Yeah, so Megan Lee understood that knight a5 is going to be a big threat. Now, if we would go knight a5, of course, she can just go b6, and the c6 square is over defended, which otherwise would be the problem. However, as James pointed out correctly, after knight d2 or knight e5, you are going to renew that threat, exchange off that very good defender on the d5 square, and again, that knight a5 will come with a huge pressure on black's position.
Right. Huge pressure on the position, and look, pressure is a very good thing to do, especially to your opponent. The only issue, of course, is the double pawn, but not that big of an issue, I think. I think she's actually doing
It's
totally
very,
fine.
very difficult to get to. And I think Megan Lee might have been a little bit spooked that, hey, this is supposed to be good for me. But yeah, I think she underestimated the situation in this case.
Absolutely. And that's okay. We've got a lot of chess left there with those
Yep.
two. I'm actually moving on to the Nazi game. What? They traded queens. Well, then why is my pawn on g5?
Yeah, that looks like a huge success for Katerina. As no more queens, no more drama.
Oh, wow. She took on c5.
Takes on
Never in my
c5.
life would I play that move right there. I would find anything else to play here.
I wonder if you could go something along the lines of d5, but probably just take, and bishop b7.
And the pawn's
Hmm.
just kind of hanging. Can you... I am playing a
Yeah.
human, but still, like, yeah, that's not enough.
Yeah, I'd love to continue on Shabala style. Just go bishop f4, sacrifice
Don't even
everything.
care, right? Just don't care about it at all.
Yeah, but the only issue is, so after d5 takes, bishop b7, bishop f4, queen takes d5, and not only is your knight hanging on f3, but your queen is up for a trade. And once the trade happens, you'll be just clearly worse.
Clearly worse. Down a pawn. Bishop looks bad. I mean, it's just a rough situation. So I guess we can understand why it was captured, but now it's just boring. Now it's just like, well,
Yeah.
what happened? My pawn's on g5. And I got
Yeah,
these
that
pawn
pawn,
islands. Like,
yeah, that pawn on g5 is more of a weakness than a strength, and it does, as you said, it just doesn't look too appealing.
yeah, it just doesn't look appealing. And it looked great. It looked great at first here. Tough game. Yeah, definitely tough game. But that's okay.
It's not over yet, though. Like, Paikidze definitely has the chances. She could still go bishop f4, rook h2 c1, just put pressure on the bishop. Still some pressure, but definitely enough counter chances for Nemtsova.
Also, time. I mean, look at the time situation. Where did her time go? Katerina has been thinking so long, in fact. I mean, I have a 30-minute lead, basically.
Yeah, although I don't fault her at all. When you see g4 just sprung at you, you want to be on the safe side.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? I'll spend extra 20 on this one. Just to be able to blitz out the rest of the moves, because I can't be wrong here, she says. I can't be wrong here. And look at this loose pawn on d5, loving white's position. Whose move is it? Black's move, but loving white's position.
Yeah, Tokajanova actually misplayed this. I guess the opening is to blame. Just look at those pawns again. G6, F6, E6. Black's king side is very loose. If I could play backwards pawns chess, I would play G7, F7, put the bishop on E7, play F7, and I say, let's continue from here,
Right.
please.
Let's continue from here. And now that these are up, I mean, this looks really bad for the black position as we isolated the pawn. And literally, I was just studying a pawn structure book yesterday. 3 pawn islands for black with, of course, 1, 2, and 3. And then 2 for white. Automatically gives a better pawn structure. I have better placed bishops. The bishop goes to b3. And I mean, this is just almost, I would say, winning for white here. I mean, the piece placement for black is actually pretty gross. White's one move away from completing development. I mean, white has to be pushing for a win already from this position.
Yeah, I think Karpov would be asking for the check right now.
Can y'all pay me now? Hey, can we sign the score sheet? Like, let's get out of here. I'm trying to go to dinner.
Yeah, unfortunately for Tokajanova, she just doesn't really have active plans and just so many weak pawns. So Anna Sharovich, even though we didn't praise her at all yet, she deserves that praise. She's dominating, and I think she's well on her way to score a huge point.
Absolutely. Huge point here. Good stuff for her. That could be a great win. And now Sabina's game. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Sabina actually went for that knight d5, but was never a huge fan of that.
She did go for that too and played f4. And usually you would follow it with the rook lift to this side, but there's no rook lift. So what do I do then? How do I even move my pieces? What's the plan?
So,
Probably same thing. Gotta move this back.
yeah, you could go back or prepare. Yeah, basically going back or playing e4. But e4 does run into ideas such as knight c5. which immediately attacks the e-pawn. I do think that this is very comfortable for Tatev. So looking at the clock, she has a little bit of an extra time. Don't know. Which side
Yeah, I
would you
don't really
take
know.
here, James?
I'm still figuring that out. Honestly, I would probably take white. But that is very, very small edge. And the reason for it is I feel like I can attack, but is if the attack doesn't work, black's just totally fine. I also have like, I made some committal decisions. Double pawns. This one's kind of loose over here too, this area.
Yeah, look at Tatev's choice. So actually, kudos for anyone who was preparing for her, or if it was her own preparation. Look at that. She's got plenty chances for winning because there are weaknesses everywhere, literally, in Forger's camp.
I think, I found a plan here. Oh, there's a move, knight c5.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to play bishop e1 and play queen
Okay.
g4 and bishop h4.
Okay, that's a smart plan there. But very Petrosian-like from you.
Oh,
Very
nice.
Petrosian.
Okay, nice. That's what's up. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's my second cousin, so I didn't even know. That's nice. Petrosian's second cousin. Grandfather's my child.
Probably tall in a
Yeah,
Petrosian mask.
right. Exactly. All right, Halloween's coming up. That's correct. Let's put on the mask. Bishop e1, queen g4, bishop h4 with bishop f6 intentions. I mean, this is a huge plan. I love it. I love it a lot here. But I was just trying to figure out where to put the bishop at. I've learned from Jacob Agard, got that Grandmaster preparation book, Position to Play, and one of the questions in there was, what is the worst placed piece? So I'm like, this bishop's gross. Like, it's disgusting. So if I can get it over here, Stonewall fashion, Dutch, I'll be okay.
Now that's a brilliant plan. Probably that's the plan that Sabina will need to find if she wants to be in game. Otherwise, I think Tatev is just going to overwhelm her with even f6. So if white plays something not too sensical, let's say rook to or h3, that's fine. Pawn to f6 now, and I be the one. Like e takes, rook takes f6, and I'll be the one doing the rover on you.
Ooh.
With rook g6,
Ooh.
threats on g2. I think this would be very dangerous, even if the computer feels that it's not over just yet.
Absolutely. Rover there, rook up and over. Oh, wow.
So I'm kind of wondering if Sabina will find bishop e1. And if she does, then it's going to be a hard-fought battle with chances for both sides. Because your threat of queen g4, bishop h4 did look very dangerous.
Absolutely. And, of course, we keep the pressure here, too, as well. Looking forward to see what happens in that one. And let's go to the last one and go back to the men's here. Whoa. Wow. I like white's position, but what happened?
So some heavy trades on the A file. Queen b6. So Talia is trying to attack the b pawn, and now she takes on c4. I do not like that move based on principles. You just don't want to give up the center. But I guess Talia thinks that this is sort of like Grunfeld. You can get away with that.
Okay.
Honestly, I'd go knight e4 here instead of d takes.
Knight e4. I like
knight
it.
e4. Just get some center control. Don't give up the center if you don't have to.
Yeah, they say keep
or even
tension.
knight d7. Yeah, just
keep
the
tension
tension
as much as possible.
and wait for your opponent to overextend. You don't have to do it necessarily yourself. Takes queen b4, knight e5. The question is if there's something loose. Well, maybe can black go knight to d7? I'm not even sure which one. So eventually I want to trade off the e5 knight and just pick up the c4 pawn. So knight d7, knight fd7. Yeah, I wonder. I think knight fd7.
Yeah, because it hits it twice. At least here I'm only hit once by the knight. But I'm hit twice, so immediately I have to do something.
Yeah, I'm also opening up my bishop.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the idea.
There's also an e4
Talia.
though. E4 in there. But I mean, it doesn't really care.
E4 I can just take on e5 with the knight, I'd presume.
E4?
Yeah, now a bishop e6.
Wow, that's crazy that this works.
Yeah, you don't have d5 to do to bishop c3. No. And I win a piece over there, although you do take That side, it's still very
Whew,
complicated.
it's just as sharp, but black's you don't have enough firepower as white. Like everything's back here. It's not active. Looks cool, but looks are very deceiving. Doesn't work. You take with the king. Like, yeah, this is not enough here. C4 still
Yeah.
hanging two passed pawns in the way.
And now you can see that bishop on g2. It's still walled up.
Right, you forget that's even there. Very
Yeah.
bad piece. And not
Doesn't look too
so
dangerous.
yeah, a little too dangerous here. Talia playing great chess again. Once again. Wow, she's playing really good. She's showing everyone that I'm a force to be reckoned with here. I may be the lowest rated here, but I'm not about to play like it at all.
Yeah, she's going for it. And that is very, very admirable.
Oh yeah, she's definitely going for it. And now, guys, we're gonna move over to the men's again to see what happened in the men's sections. Okay, Wesley and Fabi. Whoa, open G file.
Extremely sharp play. So bishop d3, bishop b7. So Fabiano noticing that, wait, this is a close position. I don't need those bishops.
Right.
So he took on f3 and went knight d5. And with your bishop kind of stuck on a1, black will definitely get some counterplay. Don't know if it's more than that, but I do think that there's some hope. So queen h4. So what will white do? You could go king h1, rook g1 in the future. The f2 is hanging though.
It's annoying. Yeah, Fabi playing really good here. Like, this is very positional right now. This is a good way to keep those bishops restricted. I'm like down a piece over here on a1.
Yeah, I mean, king h1.
It's not that easy to play, honestly. King h1. I mean, what do I even do next? I want to go rook g1, but I can't.
Yeah, but it's sort of a standoff position. Because I go king h1, even if you try to attack me as Fabi goes something like queen h5 or queen h3, I just draw back to e2. And what are you going to do next?
Good point. Very great point there. Wow. Yeah, it's just standoff. Yeah. Can't move anything. Can I make this work? But black, that's what white wants. They're trying to open it up. So,
yeah, you may try f5, rook f8, rook f6, but I will be just in time to go rook g1, rook g2, and we're back to square one.
Oof. That could be a draw. That could be a draw there. In fact, right now the accuracy says they're both at completely 99.5 accuracy right now. Both of them are 99.5% accuracy at zero.
Somebody award them a super GM title.
Exactly right, and this is over the board, by the way.
Yeah,
over
these are all over the board. They're playing at the chess club.
Amazing. Sam, what do we have here? And Dominguez has definitely made this a lot better than what it is. A lot better than what it is. I expected that from him. But definitely like Sam's position, as it just feels like he has a little bit more space. A little bit more to play for.
Yeah, this is what we've been talking about. I said that we're going to have a majority on the queen side, and it does matter this time. Because if Sam somehow could either mobilize them or pick up the a7 pawn, it would be practically over. So I think he has a nagging advantage. Is it going to be enough? I'm really zooming on knight c6.
I was trying to get this to work, but there's rook b7.
Rook b7.
Yeah.
And it just feels like
it doesn't work.
Feels like it's so close to winning, but it's just not. It's just not working.
Yeah, it's so close, right? And it's just not working. Yeah, that's tough when you have positions where you're like, I know I should be winning this.
It's so close.
I know I should be winning this, but it's not.
It's not trivial. And Dominguez has potential to improve his situation. And this is one of those things I always misunderstood or underestimated when I started out playing, that there's potential for your position. A lot of times you may have the advantage, but no potential.
Okay.
So for the moment, even though Sam is better, it's very difficult for him to start pushing the A and B pawns. Maybe something like A3 and B4 could be an idea. But if you don't do it, Dominguez is just going to do the creepy crawly, go king f8, king e7, king d6, maybe even go g6 just to prepare the idea of e5. e6 to e5, and then suddenly a position that was originally worse for him might be
Is
even slightly
now,
better.
yeah, especially with the king activity, which is huge. King activity, right? You get that king going. You got the active king. I mean, you in a good driver's seat there, and you know, Lanier, from what I've found, like he's just a very quiet player, I would say, but very strong. He reminds me of Capablanca, especially from being from Cuba too, as well. Like so, you know, it just reminds me of that style of play, grinding down, playing the positions, trying to get better, trying to grab any small advantage, take you to the end game, and play a very good end game, no matter
Yeah,
what. That's
very
how he
subtle
reminds me.
style.
Yeah.
Very subtle style. And it's fascinating too, because I think that he is sort of a mix of Kasparov and Capablanca. Because
Oh man.
Capablanca didn't really play these, so liked to stay away from any sharp complications. And I think that Dominguez is like the healthy in between.
Yeah.
You want to fight? I'm ready. I'm
I'm
ready to
ready.
fight you.
Yeah.
But if I can just do that little squeeze, I'll do that
I'll do
too.
that too. Yeah, it's something. Yeah, he doesn't. It doesn't really matter to him, which is good. That's a good way to play there. Very calm demeanor as well. Very calm player. So
And talking
yeah.
about something more explosive, let's take a look at Danya's game versus Alex Lenderman as he's
Wow.
heating up.
How did we get here? Let's see. That actually, this is now definitely great. I love this for white now. That knight f1 move and then f4 make the knight stay in there, and then we're gonna bring this knight around to
So we sort
g3.
of left it off at pawn to e6. We didn't see pawn to e6 by Alex Lenderman. He was thinking about going back to d7 with a potential repetition, but as we said, he may want to, play a game, see what happens. So now instead of a quick draw, we're going to have a fighting game. Knight e5, bishop h5, knight f1, bishop d6, f4. And whenever we play this f4 move, I have a love and hate relationship with that pawn move. Because it either is very good, because it's stabilizing that Pillsbury knight on e5, but it also creates some targets, right? Like the e4 square now is potentially under black control, and if Alex manages to go knight e4 and f6 and manages to time that well,
That's gonna be a
then
problem. Yeah,
it's
that's
going to
always
be
a
a problem,
problem.
and big trouble for Danya in that case.
And it is Linderman's move as he tries to figure out what to do. He's up 11 minutes on time here. So not a lot, but enough. He is up time. And Danya definitely has to figure out what he's going to do next. If bishop to g6, probably just take it. Now, Engine says black's better by -1, obviously. Of course, this is, humans playing here. But it's miraculous to see that they like black better than white here. And as you mentioned, the Pillsbury Knight is just huge on e5. Like, this just feels like white has some kind of advantage, but this wasn't a Carol Khan. This is a Kali, but now it looks like a Carol Khan. Yep, the same thing. Carol Khan
Yep.
exchange somehow.
Bishop g6.
Wow.
And as you mentioned, Alex Slenderman has this very subtle Karpovian style. I see you there, e4 square.
Right.
Goes for bishop g6, trying to trade off the only defender that Danya has. So if bishop takes what happened, which will not, then he'd capture back with the h-pawn, and with an e4 square control, this would look very bleak for Danya.
Absolutely. Not the greatest looking position for him. Now, of course, we still do have the e5 square on lock. The knight's going to be pretty nice on g3, and you do want to keep the tension, but question is, do we take it or do we not? And we're going to see, guys. But in the meantime, we're actually going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back with some more of the games here at the US Chess 2021 Championship, guys. So don't go anywhere. All right, guys, we are back. We are back. Let's go. Let's go. So, we were looking at this Linderman game. They still haven't moved after bishop to g6. And, oh, there it is. As soon as we get back
Bishop
here,
to e2.
they're waiting on us. Bishop e2. Interesting.
Bishop to e2 there.
Very interesting. I wonder what he's planning. I guess he just didn't want to trade, which is pretty obvious. Just want to make this bishop feel clumsy.
Yep.
I like it.
Bishop e2. So Danya is trying to keep the bishops, trying to keep it very classical. Maybe something along the lines of taking on g6 and then pawn to g3.
Oh,
Honestly, even that doesn't seem that great. So, for example, Lenderman could go knight e4. Just hop on in there. And if you take, pawn takes, h-pawn takes, g3 and g5, and that is almost lost. From a strategical sense. This is over.
That is pretty ugly. That is pretty ugly.
That is very much devastating.
Wow. Yeah, that's a strong move. So it might be 94 then. Wow. Yeah, that's kind of nuts. Oh man. Yeah, kids think it's kind of nuts too out there. Kids outside playing today. They think it's pretty nuts as well.
If I would get that position after knight takes, h takes, I would be screaming too.
Yep, I would be screaming myself. And in fact, speaking of screaming, the kids outside should definitely be screaming for this one. These bishops, look at this. I mean, this is crazy. This has to be winning. Like, if you say that I want to be black in this position, well, you probably need to learn how to play chess again. Like, just go back to whoever taught you how to play, and you need to, like, learn again. Because this is definitely a huge advantage, I would say, for white here.
Yep, those bishops are very attractive, sniping down across the board. This is looking fairly nasty. And you can go absolutely caveman style with f4, e5.
I'm a big fan of f4.
I don't think that this will be an easy game for Jeffrey. Surviving this will take a lot of effort.
I mean, look at this too. Like, at worst case, let's say we're able. Of course, knight c4 is here, but if rook a3 happens, this is, imagine being able to swing this and use, this is insane. This is insane. I'm surprised that it's not like +3 already from the engine.
You may have something like knight d2 just to prepare that idea.
Oh my goodness. Develop,
you prepare it, castles, and then rook to a3.
This is just insane. Our friends will be crying caveman style. Yeah, chat. Correct. Caveman style. Insane. Knight g takes e5. And it's a problem. It's always scary, in fact. When you're playing, over the board and your opponent is thinking in this position. Because this is a good position. So, and Ray, as strong as he is to be thinking right here, this is going to be scary for Jeffrey. You're in a lot of trouble.
Talking about scary, Vesely might get into a scary situation. He actually didn't play the critical move, played king g2 instead of...
Interesting. And king g2 reminds me, he has in his course, his e4 course, with looking at it from white's perspective, he recommends the Italian game. And he actually does go for the fried livers. And there are many lines that you actually allow black to take on f3, and he goes with the king g2 option. So I think even though, of course, he is, he's had many other moves to make, this is something that I'm sure he considered very quickly and thought about more often than not. Because there is a lot of king g2 that I've seen in his personal files in his course that does this in these similar type positions. King to g2, rook g1, and trying to get the rook to g3. But we'll see. I mean, in fact, how do you progress here?
Actually, that's why I don't like king g2 here. Because your rook wants to be on the open file. And oftentimes, you would want to go rook g2 next. So here, Vesely's basically wasting time. And I think Fabi can just go with the f5. Basically the same plan that we've been talking about. And you'll have to eventually do this maneuver. Like f5, queen c2, rook f8, and I'm coming. I'm really coming after you there.
It's actually correct. I don't even see a way to stop that. I mean, of course you can. Oh, F4 is like perpetual city. You may even get mated right in different scenarios in many cases. But wow,
Yeah,
yeah, this is
that'd be
not
a
the
bit too
easiest.
much.
Yeah, it's too
Yes.
much. So Fabi in the driver's seat here. We'll see what happens. But Fabi is definitely in the driver's seat. And who didn't we see yet? Bruzon. Let's take a quick look here, Burke, and then move over to the women's.
Zone. This looks like a tiny little pull for Burke, John Burke, who has his first ever U.S. championship.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are like, "Oh, did you see that game he played against Fabiano?" Well, no kidding. If you would play your first time ever and you're playing number 2 in the world, you know, things happen.
Yeah, things happen.
But
Whew.
talking about that, he does have a very nice position against Lazaro Bruzon, who is a great player and a World Junior champion.
Oh,
So
never knew
he's a
that. Yeah, 26
very
45.
strong
Super
player
strong,
out
right.
there. Yeah.
Super strong. It's white to move. I'm liking the queen e2 for some reason. I'm really not trying to trade. Engine says knight g3 or e3, which is totally fine. But again, I just don't want to like trade queens right now. But
I
maybe I
don't
have
think you
to.
have to mind the queen trade. I actually like knight d3 here a lot because you have that d5 square controlled. And even if you trade like queen d1, I may take with the a rook because the bishop is going to get trapped. You're going to get b3'd if you go all Fisher on me.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's,
Lock him in. You guys remember that, right?
yep, lock that bishop on in.
I
So
like it.
knight d3, and eventually you're going to get the knight to d5, and I think that's a slight bit of an advantage for John Burke. That's some good showing from John.
Yeah, good showing from John here. John's showing some strength and saying that I'm not. Hey, look, I'm not going down without a fight in any of these games. In fact, pretty good. This bishop's not doing the best. Other bishops doing pretty fine. Level position with maybe just a hair more slight position for or slightly better position.
So far, New York represent.
So far, New York represent. We're gonna move over to the ladies here. Let's see what we got. Let's get that up. Here we go. Let's get that up on the screen. All right, so let's move over to that Carissa game. Wow, wow. There's a rook on d7. What happened? Let's go back.
So at 4 h6, no more attacks. So Carissa decided to switch her attention to the queen side. Rook d1, rook d7. Typical aggressive play by Carissa, but good play. You want to have your tractor mowing down the 7th rank.
This is crazy. She said, "Go ahead, take. Go ahead, take on
Yeah.
b7." Right? You hear those
I
sirens?
dare you. I
Yeah.
double dare
Uh
you.
huh. Right. I dare you. Take on b7, which is possible, and the knight takes c5 would have been played, which is kind of nuts here. This would have got bananas. Queen b5. I mean, this is like, what is going on? White's still probably better, but
Yeah, like,
that's kind of crazy. But she
yeah,
didn't take it.
but yeah, she didn't take. She went for queen b5, and I like that move. Just keeping the advantage, not really go for anything outwardly here.
Man, she
So I
could
guess,
calculate. I mean, Irina is
yeah.
like playing with fire right now, and
Oh, she
everything's
is.
just equal. Like it's just it happens to work out for her.
So I wonder if Carissa can take on a5. You may go knight takes a5 in that case, because if you go bishop a5, I could go knight b5 and just get my knight to d6. If I manage to do that, I like my chances.
I'm a big fan of that actually. That's very strong. Yeah. So bishop takes. I mean, knight takes is better.
And knight
Still can
takes.
go. I can still go here, but I can be captured now. Well, and c3 is
So,
hanging. Yeah. So a5
yeah.
is definitely not the move. Taking on a5. So if you're not taking on a5, then what's the move? Taking on b7. Rook takes b7. She takes on c3, maybe.
So there, I'm not sure, because rook b7 takes on c3, pawn takes, queen takes. Isn't that a double attack?
It
I don't
is
see a way
hitting.
to.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. Yikes. You can't even do that. Oh, you could no shoot. Nothing's defended. That is crazy. How like I mean, she is counterattacking like a beast. She is a beast, Arena Crush, but she's
So maybe
definitely
rook
like
c1. Maybe
playing some
rook
good chess here
c1.
right now. Rook C1.
Yeah, she's playing some. Both of them are playing pretty well. This game, a little misses here and there, but overall, very, very competitive one. So rook c1, and I wouldn't really mind the trades. If you start trading, I still got the bishop pair. I've still got the tractor on the 7th. This is beautiful.
Yeah, I still have this rook on the 7th. That's the key piece for me.
Yeah.
Is having this on the 7th. So if we do trade, I'm good. I have a rook on the 7th rank. So that's actually really beneficial for Carissa, where she's pressuring all due to that rook on the 7th there.
Yeah.
And wow, Nazi has a very nice position, I think. Rook, I mean, just better pieces. That's just the only thing you can say about it. Her pieces
Yeah,
just look better.
yeah, I think you're completely right here. Katerina, I think, misplayed this. The knight just doesn't look too good on c6.
And which also blocks the bishop.
Yeah, so the knight would rather be on d7. It would eventually control the c5 square, and not surprisingly, in these type of positions, quite often likes to go knight d2, knight b3, and knight c5. And with a knight on c6, you never really have a response to that.
That's true. You would have to go rook c8, king e7, but then I could go rook c1, do the same thing.
Yeah, do the same thing,
Yeah.
and your bishop is stuck on b7. If you would try to move it away to a8, the a6 pawn drops.
This is a position you could easily get outplayed in by white. I mean, everything is like not symmetrical, but pawn structure, same amount of pawns. Like, I mean, same. But king activity, being active, got the first to the file. I have squares. There's holes in the position for black. I mean, you take white here. In fact, even stuff, right? Engine's like, yo, this is almost +1, basically.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised that bishop on b7 is a big fat pawn there. Doesn't do too much. In fact, white could try to probe at a4.
That's a great move.
a4, and
B4,
if you go
yeah.
b4, then I
C4 is
can do
weak.
my slalom of knight d2, knight c4, or
Oof.
knight b3,
Man.
really depending on my mood.
Right, depending on what I'm feeling like that day. Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. And we move on to Megan Lee's game. 32 minutes for Megan Lee. I think she did pretty well, fighting back pretty well. There was a knight d6.
Yeah, knight d6, and I actually didn't like Anna's move of knight d6. I would have tried knight d2 instead.
Yeah.
Just get rid of that very good defender on d5.
And threaten e4. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. That would have been much better, I think, too, as well. She didn't take this pawn. Was there a trap or something?
Bishop takes. Good question. I think knight d2,
Knight d2
and I
anyway.
trap you. With
Look at the
e4.
tricky tricks. Trickster.
Just,
Funny. She
You
saw
know,
that.
just because you have a GM title doesn't mean you can be tricky.
That's nice. Knight to d6. Takes 94, 95. Look at the... Yeah, she's been doing her tactics lately. Look at that. Equal or stronger threats. Just because I'm threatened doesn't mean I have to move it. So she plays knight to e5. Best defense is offense. So that's a very strong move. Attacking d7. You take on d6. I take d7. I also have f3, e4 stuff.
For some
like it.
reason, I feel that Megan Lee should be all right. But how exactly?
Probably
I
getting
don't
rid
know.
of the bishops.
Yeah.
Only
I'd
because
love
the
to
bishop
take
pair.
on
Yeah,
d6,
just
yeah.
probably take on d6. Yeah, just because I mean white has the bishop pair. Getting rid of the bishop pair is an advantage for me. And again, going back to the structure differences, the more trades we make, like the worse your structure gets. So, I mean, I'm definitely trading.
Yeah, so Megan Lee
That's
actually,
she did take. In fact,
yeah,
she took on
so
d6.
she did take. That's good. That's a good move there. And yeah, with every trade, she gets closer
To an in game.
Be better.
Yeah, a better in game. Looking really good there, I think. Looking really good there for Megan Lee. Oh, wow. Look at this game. G4 just happened.
G4.
Let it go.
Ooh.
Just G4. Very aggressive games from the
Honestly,
women. G4.
Yeah, aggressive play, but G4 is unnecessary. And I always call these pawns the guardian pawns, so they're supposed to be there to provide some shelter for the king.
And now,
The king is right just there saying, "Give me shelter,"
yeah,
and I don't understand why she does this. Like, it's not a bad move. Don't
yeah,
get me wrong, but there was no need for that. If she would have expanded with b4, I'm pretty sure she would have the advantage with no hopes of ever really messing up. But now your king will be a target, or can become a target eventually.
absolutely. Especially with a correct f5 push and a rook g8 in there, this could be very, very scary. I'm assuming bishop g3 is next after knight g7.
Mm-hmm.
And then queen b6. And then what did I get out of that? I got a free queen attack. And it looks cool. Looks are very deceiving. In fact, the knight actually wanted to come around this way anyway. So in fact, we actually just helped black do what we wanted to do.
Exactly.
Wow. That's really hard to
And
realize though.
great point by the chat saying that, oh, so many g4s today. That kind of
Yeah.
shows the psychology of playing over the board with everyone on the scene. You see someone playing g4, in your back of your mind is like, what if I do the same?
That's right. This is not online chess. This is not a 3-minute blitz game where you're like, let's just do it g4. This is over the board. G4 is there. And this is either going to be very good for you or very bad. There's no in between, most likely. Unless you trade queens off. But even then, it becomes weaker.
Yeah, so it was not necessary, but it's still a playable idea. So it's not
Definitely.
like she spoiled the advantage yet.
Knight g7 should be played. Let's see. Oh, look at that. The bishop e1 idea. She found it. But I don't think she found queen g4. Oh, yeah. You just still play queen g4, right? Or are we missing something
Yeah,
here now?
you should be going queen g4 for sure.
Wow, and you know what? Engine says rook d4, which she found. Like, she found nut move number one.
Oh,
Let's see why queen
nice.
g4 is no good. Oh, it's fine. It's literally fine. There's nothing wrong with
It's
it.
fine. Yeah, it's of course fine there. Threat of bishop h4 is pretty strong.
Yeah, that's a strong
But
threat. But she found rook d4, which is very
yeah,
impressive. She just said, go ahead, take. Take it and make my structure better.
yeah. But talking about big drama and big turns, Fabi is going for it.
What? Fabi's
Just
going for it?
sacrifice the pawn. Yeah.
Oh, we got to go see that.
Played,
Let's move over to the Fabi game real quick.
played a fantastic pawn sacrifice. Just went for e5, going all in. Now it's going to be a big question whether it's sound. Now, as you can tell by the bar, yeah,
The
not
engine
thrilled.
says this is absolute garbage. But, I mean, hey, oh man, the engine's still going up. Okay. Absolute garbage, he says. And you know what? I believe the engine. Because, I mean, you're not
So,
mating me. I can just run
yeah,
everywhere.
exactly. I think that's one of those things that Fabi may have underestimated. That, of course, you can't really coordinate yet. But what if I just move my rook away? Don't know where exactly. Maybe rook. I could go rook c1. So if you go knight
Interesting.
d4,
Yeah, interesting.
rook
Engine
c7,
wanted rook d1, number
d1.
one. And I was looking at g1, which is still a move,
Yeah,
too. G1 just because I'm trying to like, well, shoot, you know, hey, if we, I mean, I'm a moments away, you know, that's what I'm thinking. But
yeah.
engine likes rook d1. I don't even know what that does. Maybe pressuring, I guess, but
Both. So I like your move as well. The whole idea is to put pressure on the knight and maybe eventually some rook d8 back rank tricks.
okay.
So rook
Oh
d1,
yeah,
and
rook
I
d1.
don't like the way Fabi is doing or playing this, because after rook h6 I just
I
be a
just ran away.
gentleman and yeah, just
Yeah, right
walk
here.
away.
I'm like, hey
Just
man, you
walk
know
away.
what? You can have it, bro. You want
Yeah.
it? You can have it. Now I have e6, and I mean, this is real. This is real.
The
Wesley might take him down
Yeah, and
if you
that
don't figure this
e5
out.
move, that was an interesting choice. Like, I was surprised. Maybe he thought that this leads to a good play for him, but it does feel that he overestimated his chances. So he
Yeah.
might be in trouble.
In fact, the engine likes that f5 move with rook f8, and that's what we were trying to get going. But he was just, you know, it's a little bit, not that he was impatient there, but he said, look, let's just do it. Let's just do it and see if it works. Did Rook G1 actually happen? No, I think that's for me.
Chess Dojo
Rook
Live.
E6.
Welcome, welcome. Welcome, people.
Wait, is this real? Is this the right position? Or no?
Yeah, Rook E6. Rook E6 was the last move.
Rook E6 was last move. Okay.
Yeah.
Chess Dojo Live game.
Yeah.
Oh, nice,
yeah.
nice raid from them. Nice, Chess Dojo Live. Thanks for the raid.
So I'm flabbergasted. Like, I don't understand how he could go for this one. Like, you know, I can panic, but if I panic, I still would put my rook somewhere.
Right.
And I just run with my king. Like, of course, I will give up on defending the h2 pawn. I don't care for that pawn.
Yeah, I don't care because I'm not getting mated. I can just run the king around. I'm doing good. Especially after Rook G1, I'm good to go. So I think Wesley, hey, Big West could be taking a real dub here, guys. Let's just see.
Yeah.
You know, it's not over, but we will see. And look at Sam with these nasty knights here. Knight.
Sam with those nasty knights. Let's see.
3 knights tango.
Knight e5. But slowly Dominguez made... I guess knight d7 would come to mind.
He actually did that king,
later on.
The king maneuver too as well. He did get the king to e8. And yeah, knight d7, we have to get rid of one of these. Knight c6 is with check, so king e7 is no good. Interesting. What does white
I guess
do?
knight
F3?
c6, f3. Well, if you go f3, I still knight d7. I'm happy to trade.
Yeah, you're happy to trade. Yeah, so you might have to go knight c6, but then, well, maybe knight c6, rook c3, but then knight e4. What I'm trying to do next is double. After knight c6. Yeah, that could be it.
Knight c6, rook b7.
Rook c...
Maybe c2. But I'll double up on you there. Yeah, I think it's...
This could be, but then now his king's a little bit better. Yeah, black's probably slightly better now. Wow.
Yeah.
You could really mess this up.
Yeah, so Sam's big issue is that those pawns on a2 and b3, they're just too slow.
Yeah,
just too slow.
Too far away. Too far away, buddy. You're gonna be fine. Who's game? That was Dominguez. Ray's game. What? What happened? I cannot believe this right now.
He
I am
just
baffled.
yoinked the pawn. Wow.
Oh, I guess he stole a pawn. It didn't trade it. I'm just saying, I guess I'm just better. He's just better everywhere, but like, man, talk about winning chances, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm at odds. Like, you could go this way or go f4. I guess Ray decided this one is a situation where I can't really lose and may press for a win.
Yeah, okay.
But if I
Playing for
do
two
the other
results.
one,
Right.
yeah, just going for 2 results.
Right.
But it does drop a hefty part of the advantage, I feel.
Yeah, that's always good. Playing for 2 results here. I mean, I'm either going to win or draw this game. Queen takes e7, waiting for Jeffrey to move. He's trying to figure out, do I take with the king or do I take with the knight? But white has more active pieces, but it's not far-fetched at all from this being some type of equal draw. Definitely. This one got a little bit spicy, Sam's game.
Good old orthodox Carlsbad.
All right, because this is boring. But not anymore. I mean, it's not as boring. All right, we have to give him some credit. He gave it a... Okay, you know, he got some moves. It isn't like, you know, put you to sleep, Berlin boring.
It's actually very interesting from a strategical perspective. White is going to go for b4s, although Switch has this idea of going a4 now. That's a typical plan. You are making sure that Sevian can break through with b4, and if you ever go b3, the a pawn gets isolated.
Oh, it does, yeah. Okay, b pawn gets isolated too. b3, yeah, it's kind of ugly. I was thinking as white here, maybe a b4 queen c5 option.
Yeah, that would have been very good.
Yeah. Just trying
I think
to pressure
allowing
the c file.
a4 is too much. Sorry?
Oh, just trying to pressure the c file. That's it.
Yeah. And in fact, maybe Sevian could have even considered b3. It's a b2 to b3. just to stop that idea and play b4 later.
And if
Like if he
a4,
doesn't,
b4.
yeah,
Nice.
just not do all these things too early.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, pretty equal. Like the whole game. I'm saying that anyway. Neraditsky's
Yeah, it
game.
was fairly even.
What happened? He just started retreating. Wait. The bishop wasn't even on e4 yet. Oh, he played bishop e4, knight e3, got out the way. Queen d1. Yeah, this is just now a good Carol Khan for black. Oh, yeah, this is great.
Actually survived the hard part. So I think even though Danya, I think he's fine. He's maybe a little bit worse, but it looks tenable. So it's not like he has any bad pieces left.
That's
maybe
true.
The bishop
That's
is
true.
not too good on d2, but it has and serves some defensive stuff. So it does defend the f4 pawn, the c3 pawn.
Yeah.
I think he's more or less equalized.
Yeah, I've also seen here in these type of positions you can play rook a1, rook e2, and then swing this knight all the way over to e5. Very, very funny. A very funny way of doing things, but very possible. Honestly, though, this is either... Well, e6 is hanging, though, or at least loose, backward. So there's pressure. That's actually something to pay attention to. And you can't push it. Maybe I just bully it the whole game. Play g3, solidify. Rook here, and maybe try to win that pawn.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to try to bully my e-pawn while I'm going to try to bully you on the other side. I mean,
yeah.
It's going to be an all-around bullying.
All right, all-around bullying. Make sure no bullying here, chat. But this
no
game,
bullying in chat.
It's different.
And I guess not really too much bullying in the Vestiso game. Surprisingly, he decided to give back what he had, the advantage. The e takes d6 happens to give away that. And honestly, I'm not surprised. Like, your king is about to get attacked on the king side, and you take the pawn on d6.
Rook takes?
Rook takes, or you could also go queen g5 check. Like, you were trying to go for mate, why not try again? And then queen h5.
Queen h5, king g2, draw? Maybe, because there's rook h6 there. Whoa.
Yeah, rook h6 is no joke there.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's no joke.
Oh, man. Watch yourself, guys. Watch yourself.
Queen h5.
Oh, yeah, queen h5,
queen h5. And if bishop e2, rook h6, and GGO.
Look at that. Yeah, don't fall into that one. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt. Yikes. You can't even get out of that. There's no way, literally, unless bishop e5. But that just is hanging. Wow. Well, let's see. Did anything happen? Nothing happened. And a lot of chess left. We're also going to move over to the women's, but we are going to take a short break, guys. Oh, my goodness. There's so much chess here. So much fun, obviously, as well. So don't go anywhere. You got your boys here, National Master James Canty III and Dennis Boros, Grandmaster.
See you guys.
We'll be right back in a few.
Yep.
And we're back. We're back. All right, guys, we're hopping right into some action here. All right, Arena Crush and Carissa Yip. Looks like she got what she wanted here, huh, Dennis?
Oh yeah, definitely. And Carissa's been very impressive this whole game. Where we left, she just played rook c1, got the rook on the open file. And even though these moves seem like natural, they're still the best. So, if you play it, you're good.
Right.
And she's definitely doing good here. She's operating with those two snipers, putting pressure on Irina's position, left and right, and even on the 7th rank. So
it's so easy to go wrong here.
I definitely love this for Carissa.
Absolutely.
Is there any danger for Carissa there? I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think she's the one pressing there.
She's the one giving danger.
Yeah.
Here, though, in this game, wow, look at the time difference. 16 minutes. That's really starting to eat up. Really starting to pay attention to that time. Also, 20 moves away, basically. 22. Until you get to move 40 and get that 30 minutes. But she may not make it to move 40 here.
Yeah. And I like this move by h6 by Katerina, who's actually is in the lead of the US Championships. So she is trying to get some play. And again, that cursed G-pawn that could again move backwards. If I could put it back to G2, it's like, oh, white is completely winning. We're going to win on the other side. But because the pawn is on G5, it's an easy target for Nemtsova. If you go rook A1, she can just snatch that pawn. And after knight takes G5, rook takes H2, and the position might be still advantageous for Paikidze, but good fighting chances for Katerina.
Absolutely. Great fighting chances, I think, too, as well. And looking at this, I was considering G6, but I don't think it's enough. It just feels good to play it, and the engine's like, oh, it's not that bad. It does
G6
work.
looks good.
Sweet.
G6, pawn takes, rook A1.
Yeah, and then rook A1.
And, yeah.
I was even thinking rook G1 as well.
Yeah, rook G1 too.
Rook G1, then you have the E5 option, maybe even H4 at the right moment. Really try to be aggressive here, but the problem with it is like if it's wrong and you're wrong, you could lose. You just down a pawn. Maybe not though. It is doubled. So and you have some structural weaknesses. Yeah, well, I think white would just easily be fine if G6. But let's see if she's able to find it and what else she can do. Honestly, white is pushing for a lot here, but I think Katarina's doing just fine, especially after this H6 move, which is pretty cool.
I mean, she'll have to still solve some issues with her bishop on B7.
Yeah.
But definitely, and she has to be very accurate to get the advantage.
Absolutely. Very, very accurate. And, all right, speaking of accurate, rook E7 did happen in the Megan Lee game. Putting the rook on E7, defending, and just, hey, I'm cool. I have nothing wrong. You're the one saying, you have double pawns, says Megan.
Yeah. Megan's playing a very, very inspired defensive game against Anna Zatonski. She was worse, but she found some interesting maneuvers. This idea of bishop E4, bishop D5 particularly was interesting. And then finding knight E4, knight D6, attacking Anna's pieces. And now she's just fine. May even push for more if Anna Zatonski decides to press for more. But we'll see.
Right, we'll see. Yeah, definitely not double-edged, but definitely, honestly, you can kind of play for two results from both sides. It's hard to lose for both, I think. But it takes, it's a lot to do still. There's a lot of moves left. I mean, someone could go wrong so easily here.
So let's take a quick look at the Foyger Tatev Abrahamian game.
Got it.
Let's see. So rook D7 takes. So Tatev decides to give away her bishop, and Sabina sticks with the plan of getting her bishop to H4. So decides to take with the pawn instead of the bishop. Queen G4 comes to mind.
I mean, I would be playing this like instantly.
Yeah.
So funny how like I'm just gonna play this right now. This was the plan. Queen G4, bishop H4. I wonder what's wrong.
I think she's considering that
Yeah, there's nothing
Black,
wrong with it.
that is thought of, could go king to h8 just to move away from that potential pin. Bishop h4, queen e8. And
It's
it
not there yet, but
depends.
man, I'm so close. Oh, it feels like I'm
Yeah.
mating. Literally feels like I'm
Maybe you could
mating.
also consider rook to a d1.
Oh, that's
But then
nice.
you do give up the a pawn. Rook takes, e takes, rook d1, rook takes, e takes, knight takes h4. It's getting
Yeah,
a little double-edged.
it is. And I was even thinking rook f1 to play f5, like
Mhm.
just giving it up completely. Yeah, you can have this pawn, but I'm fully invested into this attack.
And probably you're right there. I can't decide between rook d1 and rook f1, but we can take a look at rook f1. We've got the luxury
Yeah.
of trying it out.
Engine
Rook
says rook takes
f1.
and then take on a4. So they just say
Yeah,
it's nothing.
takes,
They
takes.
say that it is absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and I think queen a4 is the move. That's a
Wow.
big move. I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Because in case of knight takes a4, and sorry to
Man. No, you're right. Knight
so,
takes
so
a4.
knight takes a4, then the bishop d3 idea might become very
Ooh, that's
nasty.
scary. Queen h5, bishop
Because
f6.
yeah, queen h5, bishop f6 ideas, and f5. This is what we'd call a decisive attack for just a measly pawn. It's not too bad.
Yeah, but that queen takes a4 does change the issue a lot. I can't go bishop d3. I mean, you did just take a pawn. Interesting. It double-edged. Yeah, definitely double-edged. Let me refresh. Did
Double-edged,
anything
yeah.
happen? Nothing. Okay. Nothing happened yet, but it is on the way of happening. It looks like nothing else is going on. Nothing exciting yet. Let's take a quick glance here to time control. We're doing good on time.
Yeah, we hadn't really looked at this game by Talia. She's doing well in the event. She just won her previous game. I mean, yesterday. And she's seemingly out there jumping around with her pieces.
Jumping around is the great way to put it. I think it's double edged, but I think black might have a slight edge. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, because Ishvaran's position got a little bit rigid.
That's a good word,
So
rigid. Yeah.
you'd rather want to have the pawn on d4 and c4 so that knight can go to c5. As she played d5, Talia got a very comfortable outpost there, and not many other like aggressive plans for Ashvaran to play for. Like e4 f4 could be an idea, but it's very ambitious and would expose the king on g1 for one. And the other one is the c4 pawn is still a little bit loose.
Yeah, this is. I mean, the pieces look kind of cool, but I mean, I can't move my bishop. The knight's hanging, and moving the knight might collapse of my whole center and be disastrous. I don't really have that many moves actually. Engine says King h2. Just showing you like, yo, I don't have that many moves, bro. E3 makes sense too, and knight e4 luckily works for her as well. But King H2 is move number one, which lets you know it's that kind of position where like King H2 is your best move according to the engine.
And this is actually the reason why the Grunfeld is so attractive to so many players. You may actually take down the behemoth center that white gets. You actually have something to work against or tie.
Yeah.
King H2 was played.
It was played
Wow.
King H2. She was like, I don't have anything to do. What do I do? King H2. Right, when in doubt, put your king on H2.
Yeah, you took those words out of my mouth. I do think that King H2 wasn't like, I have this plan, moving the king.
Yeah, like
to the side, it's like, what should I do here? Well, let's just move the king.
Move the king. Yeah, and just it's a great waiting move. I thought that was pretty awesome. She showed us. Oh, Queen G4 is on the board, by the way. Let's go. Sabina is going for it.
Yeah, it's heating up, and it's
about
going to
to
be an
heat up.
important game because a win for either Tatev or Sabina can invigorate their chances for the title.
Very nice. Invigorate. Nice vocabulary there. Let's move on to real quick before we go to the men's. Carissa's position here. She's completely
What?
winning.
Oh,
She won a
missed rook
piece.
d4.
Oh my
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
Start a new game, get her off the board. She just blundered. She played knight b4 and jumped off the deep end and just lost. Like, she had time too. Like, literally just lost the game in one move. One
Oh, bishop
swift kick.
f1 was an OG move, saying, you know what? I don't need to rush. I
Right,
have a
she put the
great
bishop back on
position.
f1.
I over defend myself, and then bam, Carissa, when
Wow.
there's a tactic, she's there.
And loose pieces,
She's
loose
gonna take
games.
it.
Oh yeah, I definitely love Carissa's style. I love tactics myself. Rook d4. GG started a new game, and that is going to be a hard resi there. Probably going to be a resignation. Yikes. Man,
Is
Arena
there
Crush.
any hopes?
Oh,
Not
it's
really.
nothing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just it's just a piece.
It's
Just a piece.
It's a clean one. We can sign the score sheet now. And there it
Yeah.
is, the resignation. Carissa Yip.
Resignations. Oh, big, huge win
Wow.
for Carissa.
That was
huge
huge.
win.
That was a huge win. And Carissa wins. That's great stuff. Great stuff from Carissa.
Huge win.
Pretty awesome there. Showing she can fight with the big dogs. Speaking of big dogs, let's see what they're doing over here.
What do we have? And
They got a
we
draw.
have a draw. Yep.
Wesley, yeah, they took a draw. Well, how did they do it? So around here after takes, he checked them. Oh, he just let him take. He just was like, there's nothing else, whatever. Was there really nothing else here?
Not really. You just you don't really have the time. Queen b2. I'm trying to mate you in one single move.
Is this mate?
Because
I
of
think
that
you
battery.
get mated. Watch this. I think there's a queen takes f3, knight f4 idea.
Okay, queen f3.
Queen f3 and knight f4 is nasty because there's mate on the back.
Savage.
Gross.
That is savage.
Yeah, that's from Grandfather Tal. Shout out to my granddad. That's the gross. Knight f4.
That's brutal.
Disgusting. Sheesh. Yeah, he couldn't play it. Okay. And that's a draw. We got a draw over there. Shanklin and Dominguez. Oh, wow. Look at the Knights. The Knights tango.
Yeah,
Knights
and
still doing a little tango here.
I do think that Shanklin has still a slight pull, but not too much anymore because Dominguez's king is close enough.
Absolutely. Close enough to do whatever. I can't move now, obviously, because I have 7 hangs, but yeah,
You can go
objectively just-
f6 and a6.
In fact, weirdly enough, the engine gives black a slight edge by 0.15, which is literally nothing, obviously. But it's just crazy that they even like black here. Like, wow, that's like kind of very, very weird, I would say. Like, yeah, they just like black more. I mean, the bishop seems worse. I mean, and that's it. Like, bishop worse? How did they, like, how could you possibly say that this is not zeros?
It could be the fact that Dominguez can go to knight c3. And even though you have the 2 pawns on the queen side, they might get somewhat vulnerable. And once again, if they get rigid, Dominguez can try to undermine them. So like knight c3, a5, a6, and then I might be considering knight a2 as well. Wait,
Interesting.
Might even have, yeah, something along those lines. I just wanna pause and block your pawns, and then you might have issues in the future.
That makes sense. That actually is probably literally the only thing that does it, because other than that, this is I mean, super drawn. It seems super drawn to me. Seems super drawn. Oh, that was flipboard. Okay, let's reset. Nothing going on. All right, Ray Robeson. Oh man, his position just looks great. Whose move is it? White to move?
I think it is white to move.
D6?
Yeah, that's... Grandpa Tal would be proud of us.
Absolutely. That's right. Shout out to Grandfather Tal. Thanks for all you did,
Yeah.
Granddad. D6 and
Yeah,
Ricky 7.
D6.
Yep, looks great.
Yeah. Looking
Man, that's like...
looking atrocious.
Well-
Not nice. That bishop on c8 didn't even make a single move in this game, believe it or not.
I know for a fact that I will never be playing this Rossalimo ever. I mean, it was cool to see. Man, else what's up, Jeffrey? You know, clap it up. Wow, that's pretty sweet, man. I like the new stuff. I like you try to take him out of book here. But never play that Rossalimo again with the bishop to d6 like that. I'm never trying that. You know,
So
don't
is
try
this
it at
like
home.
a movie you only Watch once. Is
Yep.
that the thing?
Yep, this is the one you only look at and see once, and you see, whoa, shoot, did you like it? Was it good? This was terrible to get this position, and now, I'm doing worse. I'm doing very, very bad here. As white, isn't everything even? Like, everything's even, and the engine's like, yo, this is +1, like plus 1.2, basically. But here, as a human, I mean, I do play d6, put the rook on e7. I can even try to get the other rook to c7 as well. Even rook b1 almost paralyzes you. But he does have d6 there. So d6 has to be played.
Yeah, d6. And even though there are some hopes for Jeffrey, it looks very painful.
Very
it
painful.
looks very painful.
Very, very painful for Jeffrey, guys. Jeffrey not looking the greatest there in that position. That's okay. Still moving on. Still got chess to play. Check out Sam Sivian and Darius. This one
So
picked up a little bit.
Off when did the switch actually play a4? He didn't. He actually played b6.
And then b4.
Okay. b4.
Clamp down. Take.
Takes.
Queen b4.
And
that was it. So far, this is the life.
Yeah, Sam is trying to get this endgame, but I'll be honest with you. If black just takes on b4 with the queen, takes back, rook takes on a1, then pawn to c5. As your rook has moved away, I can do that. Pawn takes, rook takes. There is no back rank checkmate because I've got the c8 square covered.
That's right.
I can go rook c8. And if you don't trade those pieces, even then, this is a completely even rook and bishop and the knight endgame. You've got pawns on the same side. There is one little weakness on d5, but that's about it. It's never going to amount to anything. Even if black loses that pawn, even that often is considered a draw.
Yeah, and that's funny. Like, we even said that all back here. We was like, yeah, this game we probably won't even come back to. It was like this position right here. Yeah, when he took on d6, I was like, yeah, this game, this is like, this will put you to sleep at the board. Literally, like, you're at the board falling asleep. Because you know that this is like nothing here. And then as they made more moves, and, oh, that actually didn't happen. But this is the live position. Zeros, whole game zeros, basically. Pretty good, though. Pretty great, I would say. But great play, but definitely put you to sleep chess there. What Nerditsky got going on here? I mean, it's a position, Like,
yeah, that bishop on g3 doesn't really. I don't like that bishop. Don't even have words for that bishop. So I give up.
And no words. Yeah,
I would have rather played g3 than put that bishop to g3. Like I don't like this plan by Danya.
It was a tough position. Again, he played the Kali, which is totally understandable, playing these different openings and just trying to take your. I mean, and he beat Jeffrey with it, so I understand. And like, hey, it's not broke, don't fix it, right? So, rook f3. He's playing rook f3 here. I'm wondering what he's doing. Maybe doubling, and maybe trying for g4 after a bishop e1. That's crazy. Like, bishop e1 again. How many times does that happen in the tournament where you see the same move?
Problem in these positions that you're trying to play g4, but even that doesn't work.
Oh, it doesn't even do anything, in fact.
Yeah. Just doesn't do anything.
What about h4? That's too much. I'm just like lashing out because you don't have anything. So you're trying to just create stuff that really isn't the greatest. I mean, h4 could probably be something, but not as much as we think it would be. Maybe, let's see, h4, h5. Get the bishop to h4. Okay. No, I don't think I have enough. It's just not enough. And then I'm going to create too many weaknesses, probably trying to create something that's not really even there.
I mean, I might get just extremely rude with you and just go h4, h5 myself. And then I'm asking, what is your bishop doing there on g3?
G3. Looking terrible. Bishop is in retirement here on g3. Put him in the retirement home. He's done for. This bishop is not going anywhere. So we have to be very, very careful here. Yeah, black has a little better position, obviously, but not winning, but definitely a better position and something, I would take. Oh, d6 did happen. D6 is there.
D6.
What do you even do here? Like, you bought the rookie sevens coming. Besides resigning, what else do you actually do here to try to
I
defend?
guess you hope to trade some pieces, just go rook e8, pray that your opponent takes on h7. a5, I don't like that move either.
Yeah, he's probably going rook a6. I'm thinking.
Oh, he wants rook a6. I still go rook e7, rook e7, rook f8. And the situation is so bad that I'm seriously considering sometimes taking on h7.
That's kind of funny. Taking on h7 in many cases, especially after rook takes, take on h7. And if we can hold this d pawn too, you in a lot of trouble. You can't move anything. I mean, this could be over in a few moves actually, if Jeffrey is not careful. Here's the last one in the men's section. Let's see what we got.
So we've got a strong
Man,
knight
Burke
by
playing
John
good.
Burke.
Yeah, he playing real good. I like this a lot for Burke. I just got a knight on d6. Jeremy Simon calls that an octopus, and from Reassessor Chess, it's chilling on d6.
Yeah, it's big boy chilling there.
Whose move is it? It is his move. So what do we do? Double the rooks? h4? I am hitting 95. What does black want to do next? H4 looking, but then
Black,
he has
I think,
h6.
wants to go b5.
Definitely. And I'm not even afraid of this. Like, you can have b5.
Yeah, for sure. So even though Burke is definitely better, but there's still a lot of fighting left in the position for both sides. I wouldn't be surprised if this can be, misplayed by either side.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I would favor white here due to my piece activity, but definitely I've seen these type of games go both ways. Especially with this strong bishop on a7, is sometimes you forget he's even there. You're like, oh, snap, no, yeah, he's there. And you lose.
Yeah, that's why I would be considering some like a4 and a5 just clamping down
Oh, I like that
on
idea.
Buzon's position. Although I'm not that certain that after a4, black cannot just play b5 straight up.
Anyway.
Not convinced yet.
Not convinced yet.
But I still like John's position a bit more. I think he's still the one favored.
Me too. I think he is the favorite here. I would take white, but there is a lot of play left and not enough time. In fact, I mean, there is, what move are they on? They're moved 20. So they have to make 20 moves with basically 20 minutes apiece here, or 25 for John, 23 for Bruzon. They may not make it. Time control is definitely an issue as well. But, lots of chess and more, of course, is going to be there. And we'll be right back with this short break, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll finish up some of these games today. So we'll be back right after this short break. So stick around.
See you soon.
All right, guys, we're back. Look at this game right here. Sabina Foiser is trying to crack open Tatev. I mean, this is ridiculous. Bishop on h4, rook on d4, f5 is on the board now. How do you defend this, Dennis? Now, it's equal, quotation marks, equal. But it looks
Equal.
like White's about to, crush this thing open.
Now, that is that type of equal I always would love to have as white.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
definitely.
equal if you walk the fine line.
Yeah, it's equal if
But
you're an engine.
exactly.
If you know the
So,
code.
all right. Capturing on f5 wouldn't make too much sense
Probably
because
just
that
take
would
back,
open it
right?
all up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go rook f1 later, maybe even rook g4 if you don't pay
Oh
attention.
my goodness, rook g4. I forgot this was a move. So
Yeah.
many good moves here. Rook g4, rook f1. I mean, everything. Even a sack on f6 is potential. With after, I mean, I love that move. Pawn takes and then rook h4, or check first then rook h4. Like just whatever you want to do, you could almost do here. In
Yeah,
fact,
this is a joyride. This is a joyride for the white side if takes. So if rook e8, then I can wall you up with f6. And I mean, that queen is mummified in that scenario. That looks pretty bad too
this looks terrible.
for Tatev. Like bishop g5, queen f4. And, when the honey badgers are trying to get in there, fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're getting in there, and it's on the board.
You're getting in there and very awkward.
It is
Pretty
on the
awkward
board.
there.
She takes, queen takes f5. Tatev, rook e8 did happen. It is on the board. She brought the last piece into the game, and now let's see what Sabina does. Is she going to go for the rook g4 option? Is she going to go rook f1? But she knows that she is in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah, and Tatev is very low on time, so I feel that this looks more and more like Sabina's game. Now, it's not over. There's still room for errors, but... okay, so rook g4, king h8, bishop f6, right? We're coming on it.
Yeah, or even sacking too.
You
Sacking,
can
then
sack.
bishop
Wow.
f6.
Can you show that line? That's
Oh,
very
absolutely.
pretty.
For my grandfather Tao, appreciate it. King h8. Spink! Give me everything. I appreciate the generosity. If king takes, we hit him with a check, flex real hard, and it's going to be mate in two. Nasty. So you have to take with the queen here, allowing bishop f6 anyway. I just picked that up. Rook and bishop for the queen. I got the extra resources. This is game over. Game over. Very nice rook sack. So she plays rook d1, which I think is a pretty gross move. I thought that this is extremely disgusting to play because of just so much play. Maybe you could have played rook g4, maybe rook f1. But the problem with these kind of positions is when you got a great position like this, everything feels good, and which is one move that this does still feel good for white.
Yeah, rook d1, and I think sometimes we have trouble deciding what is the principled continuation. But honestly, her play revolves around the king side. So rook d1 I don't like that much.
Correct.
Because it sort of misses the point.
That is exactly right. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It just misses the point. Rook f1 is very nice, and then rook g4 or rook g4 first. I mean, rook g4, there's almost like, I bet you could do this. Watch this. This is just me attacking. I love attacking chess. If rook g4, if g6 can't even be played because I think I can sacrifice. Maybe not. Maybe I can't
I
sack
have queen
yet.
g7.
Yeah, it's close. It's very close. So bishop f6 first, then rook g6.
Yeah.
Just trying to get this to happen, but it doesn't work due to queen g7. But bishop f6, I mean, come on now. You even have almost this sacrifice, almost with the mates there. Like the arrows can get worse,
Yeah, Tatev might survive there for
Right.
the moment being, but not for long.
Yeah, not for long. Not for long. Not looking to survive that one. This is going to be a very cool game. Let's see what happens. And now let's go back to Nazi actually here.
Yeah,
Nazi.
this was an
Wow.
important game and still is going on. But we can sort of safely say that Nemcova is actually fighting her way back to the game. She's no longer worse. In fact, that MVP move of rook h3.
Yeah, look at
just
that.
on
Go ahead, take the
e3.
bishop.